Good afternoon, everyone. I'll call this meeting of the joint meeting of the Iowa State Student Government and Ames City Council to order at 5:02 p.m. We will begin with student government roll call. Iona Dimhoff. Gertis. Jones. Utica. Miller. Kikun. Dahmen. Corshi. Snyder. Bailey. Hartley. Margaret. Nandal. Pursley. Neal. Kuzi. Olson. Saney. Graybill. Bernal. Valenzuela. Lima Barbosa. Einwalter. I'll hand it over to the mayor to begin.
Well, good evening. I call the special meeting for the Ames City Council and Student Government to order. And if you would allow me to introduce some of our participants, we have Fire Chief Rich Higgins. He's going to be talking about the fire station. Councilmember Brown B.D. Hanson. Councilwoman Gloria Betcher. Councilmember Tim Garton. City Manager Steve Shanker. Assistant City Manager Brian Phillips. Councilwoman Rachel Junk. Councilwoman Amber Corriere, and Councilwoman Anita Rollins. And also we have Nolan Sagan, who is our Sustainability Coordinator, and he's going to be talking about climate action plans. So.
Absolutely. Before we begin, I invite one of our AV techs up to do a little introduction. Microphones.
Yeah, so for those of you who have not used the microphones, the ones that are kind of flat on the table, there's a mute and unmute button. There's a push to talk button. So if it's red, it is muted. If it's green, it's unmuted. Go ahead and unmute while you're speaking, and then if you've finished your remarks, just mute it again so that it's not creating additional noise. If you have the ones that are on the stands, there's a little switch. By default, they're on. If you want to have a sidebar conversation or something, you can flip that off. So it's not picking you up, but they're not quite as sensitive, so we'll just leave them on by default. And that should be all you need to know. So enjoy your meeting.
We will now move into the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we move into our program with a welcome message from Mayor Hala and President Brandt.
Well, good evening. This is one of the meetings we enjoy attending and participating with all of you. We're looking forward to a robust conversation. I just want to give kudos to our ex officio, Emily Boland. She does a fantastic job, and she's done a good job of getting the agenda. And thank you for sending in advance some of the things that you want to talk about, so we're prepared. I certainly hope that there are some opportunities for you to ask questions and make suggestions on how we can better engage with all of the student body here at Iowa State. And so with that, I will turn it over to President Brandt, and we're looking forward to the conversation.
Alrighty. Can you guys hear? Okay. Oh, hear me? Hello? All right, I'll use this one. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you to this joint meeting between the Ames City Council and Iowa State University Student Government. Gatherings like this highlight the strong and enduring partnership that has defined the relationship between the city and our university for well over a century. This partnership is built on collaboration, mutual respect, and a shared vision for progress, Whether it's through economic development, community engagement, sustainability, or student involvement, our efforts are driven by the same goal, to make Ames and Iowa State the very best it can be. As we come together tonight, we celebrate not only our past achievements, but also the exciting opportunities that lie ahead. We look forward to an open dialogue as we discuss ways to continue strengthening our community and supporting one another's mission. On behalf of Iowa State University Student Government, I want to extend a sincere thank you to the members of the Ames City Council for being here tonight and for your continued partnership. Together, we can ensure that Ames remains a welcoming, innovative, and thriving community for all who call it home. Thank you again for your dedication and commitment to making Ames and Iowa State University great.
I know most of us have an agenda here, but I'm going to give a quick rundown of what this next couple hours are going to look like. So we're going to start with open discussion time, which is time to discuss projects and ideas. Next, we'll move into downtown engagement, then the climate action plan and sustainability. We'll talk about Ames Fire Station #2 relocation, and then move into closing comments and adjournment. So I will now open the floor for open forum. Open forum is an opportunity to discuss issues relevant to the student body. If you're here for open forum, I invite you to the lectern at this time. Seeing no one here, we'll now move to adopting the agenda for this evening. Is there a motion to do so? Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Thank you. So we'll now move into open discussion. It's a time to discuss projects, ideas, or thoughts between student government and the Ames City Council, and an opportunity for student government to talk and ask questions to the City Council. So now open the floor.
There are a couple of things that I'll defer to you. The one thing we definitely want to talk about is some of the changes to our solid waste, also known as garbage, and recycling in the community, and Brian Phillips is here to talk about that. And also, I believe, Emily, you wanted to have someone talk about the crosswalk at Stanton, is that right? So, but we're happy to take questions, to start with, and then we can backfill on those.
Senator Kuzi.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. To everyone I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, so nice to meet you. Sorry, we're kind of interrupted by the cameras here, but that's okay. This might sound silly, but I kind of just have one question that a lot of students or constituents, for me, I guess I'll introduce myself a little further. I'm Brody. I represent students who live off campus. There's thousands of us, and I'm a mechanical engineering student here at Iowa State. So kind of back to the question. This goes to all of the city council or people here from the city of Ames today. How did you get here, and where did you park?
All right, Bryman, you start, and then we'll just quickly go around the room. Bryman?
I did drive today, and I parked in the Memorial Union ramp.
And there was a note of hesitation in her voice, and why is that, Bronwyn?
Well, I usually bike to our council meetings. I've biked to every council meeting for 10 years, except 2 of them when I had to duck out early, and so I had to use my car. But otherwise, I love to try to make it via bicycle, so I'm ashamed of myself this evening, but I did drive my car tonight.
Someday we'll post a photo of her with icicles hanging down her face in the middle of winter. I'm not exaggerating. She's amazing. Gloria.
So I drove and I parked in the ramp, and I am not ashamed to say it. I have some mobility issues today because of my MMR vaccine. Yes. So I drove.
Tim?
Same.
Rachel?
Yeah, same here.
Amber?
Ditto for me.
And for me.
And for me.
Very good. The reason for the question is because so many people ask about parking. I'm sure you guys are all tired of the question at this point. So I guess kind of a follow-up to that, for those of you who did drive, if the parking in the ramp was provided or otherwise, or you paid for it yourself, let's say that wasn't accessible, where would you park instead? And do you know how much it might cost to park there?
Who wants to take that one?
I'll go first.
Go ahead, Gloria.
I happen to have a coveted parking ramp pass in the East Campus parking deck because I'm a professor in the English department. And I would normally park down there and not charge the student government for my walk up from the base. Otherwise, I would typically just stay at home because I live right over on Hayward Avenue, and I would either walk from there or I would have my husband drop me off, and then I'd walk home.
Anybody else? Rachel?
So I was recently a student as recently as 2 years ago, so I know that parking has only increased since then too, but typically if I were to park, I would try to find a spot out on the west side of the Memorial Union because those meters are cheaper than in the ramp. And so if that was full, then I would either bite the bullet and have to go on the ramp or would maybe go into Campus Town or some of the meters along Lincoln Way on the south side of Lincoln Way and then walk from there to get to the Memorial Union. But oftentimes I didn't want to deal with parking, so I would take the Ride or walk or bike to campus. I've lived close to campus for probably 7 years now on Campus Ave, Sheldon, Highland, a lot of the west of campus neighborhoods, so I can understand that it's a lot easier to walk or take the Ride that short distance than have to deal with parking once you get here.
Can I ask a quick follow-up to that? Would you say parking on public streets would be a hassle per se then?
Depends on which streets. I think we already do have a lot of close to campus parking. Living on Campus Ave, I would see the parking switch every day. So I know that there's a lot of people that are commuters that do park close to campus and walk in, but I think it would depend what streets you're talking about.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there a specific point or question that you would like to try and tease out or flesh out, or did you get the answers that you were looking for?
Yeah, kind of in response to that, like I said, the questions come up so much. I know you all received it, and the general idea is considering if it's a hassle or not. Is parking accessible to most people? Is it costly? And exploring that. And kind of in this conversation, seeing where you all lie in your own experience, I think speaks to what the broader community outside of our student base can say. I think a lot of the people in the room, I've seen heads nodding. We've had conversations. I think we can all speak to our own experiences, but the purpose of the question was to gather information on your experiences. So if you want to share your own, I'd welcome that as well.
Sure. I would say that if the ramp was not available, I would go to either Campus Town, the intermodal ramp, which I have used from time to time. I would look for a spot on Welch or some of the other streets, Chamberlain, for sake of discussion. And then I would continue to work my way out, further to the south if necessary. I never had a challenge trying to find a parking spot, and I do have the privilege of coming on campus a number of times during each semester to meet with different either groups or individuals. But I guess, can I just turn around and ask a question back, and that is, we have one of the top-notch public transit systems in the country, in Cyride, and 93% of or approximately 93% of the riders are students. And if we were to design a traditional transit system, it would just go east-west and north-south down main thoroughfares. But the transit system is designed to really help get as many students to campus as possible, and actually from campus back to their areas. So is there some challenges for individuals, or the routes just don't work well, that would prohibit them from going ahead and using the transit system? I'm just curious, because you said you represent people who are off campus.
Correct.
And I was just kind of curious, are there some gaps or issues with the routes or timing that we could potentially, Rachel serves on transit board, Emily, you serve on the transit board too. So you have two people here who could report back from a board member, in terms of what challenges might exist.
Yeah, First of all, excellent question. There are challenges. There's some that I've faced myself. I think one example would be really good for people my major, in engineering. Tomorrow evening I have an exam starting sometime in the 6 o'clock hour, and then that leads into an 8 o'clock, ending at 10:15. So when I'm going to catch a bus back home, I'm exhausted, and it's easier for me to bring my car to campus. Luckily, that 6 o'clock hour is where campus parking opens up for free, but in examples of this evening, it's still not accessible for me to park on campus in any spot I choose. I'm parked on campus right now. I paid, I think, $1.29, something like that, for the space east of here. Yeah, there are challenges. I think they've been identified before, or people know of them. So the biggest challenge with nighttime exams are scheduling between the 30-minute bus ride or the 30 or 15-minute wait, which many students will opt to bring a vehicle instead. And you'll see that as you go near the halls of which the exams are taken in, the campus streets are lined with vehicles. So maybe that accessibility would be greener, per se, but again, to wrap around to answer your question, I think there are challenges, which is why people like to drive. People outside of the Ames area likely drive or get dropped off, as somebody mentioned earlier.
So I'll just close with this. We can move on to something else. But as you're probably aware, Iowa State has 100% jurisdiction on campus. We have absolutely no
Yes.
authority. So really, our jurisdiction kind of starts, south of Lincoln Way, when it's not university-owned property. And so the intermodal facility is one option. Certainly, street parking we know is going to be at a premium between residents as well as students. But I think if there's really a desire to have copious amounts of parking, in close proximity to campus, that really becomes an Iowa State question. It is very expensive, to build something on campus, or just in period, just parking structures are expensive. If you wanted to increase the quantity of parking in close proximity to the area, and I think at this point the city probably is not in a position to commit to building additional parking ramps on property immediately around campus to try and increase the capacity.
Is that because it's campus? Is that because of the financial burden to that? You said it's, not so much the desire or the position right now. Is that because of the campus ability to build their own? Is that a sore subject that the topic is come and gone? Where does that lie? Is it financial? Is it because campus can do it? Is it because there's not interest in it and there's other places
we
funds
never
can
had
go?
we never had a conversation directly about this topic with Dr. Winterstein or with anybody else on campus. I'm just saying that we know we're looking at doing a parking structure potentially downtown sometime in the future. It's anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 a parking space to build a parking structure, and so it's just a significant investment. So from the city standpoint, to get 2, 3, 400 parking spaces, you can quickly do the math. Then it's finding property on campus. That would be something that would be good to have someone from student government talk to university, probably FP&M or somebody else that could give you some ideas on that. Obviously, they've done a lot of investment, done some fantastic buildings on campus. I'm not sure where their priorities lie regarding that.
Yeah. Again, wrapping around to the idea that most of the people, as they went around the room, speaking to where they parked and where the alternative was on city streets. Mm-hmm. The priority is campus. So in this joint meeting, I think the purpose is more so focusing on what can be done off campus, whereas compared to what campus can do, that's what we can discuss all year. But since we're here in this special meeting, I think that's of importance. And I think this is an issue that we've identified that I think can be looked at in the future. That's all I have for this subject. If you want to discuss it with me later, I'm open to it.
Thank you.
Senator Graybill.
Hi, My name is Amaya Graybell. I'm a freshman here at Iowa State, and I represent Inner Residence Halls Association. So all of the students living in residence halls, basically, which is a lot, as you can imagine. This is kind of backtracking a little bit, but not necessarily parking, but transportation and the discrepancies in that. I live in Towers, as do many. Towers has been like, it was single rooms only, but because of increased enrollment, there's so many students living there. I can't remember the exact number, so many. But the buses that got there, and I know Emily and I kind of talked about this, and maybe you've already heard, but are really lacking. And especially most of the people that live in Towers are international students or freshmen that don't necessarily have cars here, so they don't even really have the option to park on campus, even if there was parking on campus available. On the weekends, one bus comes every 40 minutes if it's reliable and if it's on time, which if you live at Towers, you know that it's not always on time and it's not always reliable. And I think we talked about a lot about safety and also about access to food and it being cold and like you're a 20-30 minute walk from everything, you know, and so if you miss the bus or if you do have to walk and it's negative 25 degrees, if you don't have a car to just go drive somewhere, or you don't have the means to, you know, DoorDash food to your residence hall. So I think that's something to think about too. Off-campus students or students at Towers, just making sure that they have equal access to all the things people on Central Campus do.
Emily or Rachel, do you want to comment on that? I know you have public forum at transit board meetings. Is that something could be brought up there, or do you want to go ahead and take those comments back to transit? Go ahead, Emily.
Yeah, I can talk about this. So from our meeting now we had a few weeks ago, we're sending off that information to Cyride, and we're going to try and get some numbers back about, you know, what would that mean if we added frequency and all that. The concerns are really important to hear. I'm glad that you guys are bringing them up, especially with increases in student enrollment. There's going to be more people living at Towers in the coming years. And so I really appreciate that we're having this discussion, but yeah, sorry.
Thank you, that's all.
I just echo what Emily said. I appreciate the bringing it up. I hadn't previously heard about that, so if you have any more information on, besides timing, like if there's anything else that's lacking there, we could definitely bring that to the board and talk about it. I will say that sometimes Cyride funding is constrained to making changes to additional routes. I was trying to pull up the numbers from one of our recent meetings, but it would be like over $100,000 just to add an extra bus onto one of the routes from previous requests that we get. So if there is like significant support behind this, it'd be awesome to hear from not just one person, but many people about how this would impact their lives.
Senator Jones.
Hello. Okay, so my name is Samantha Jones, and I'm a junior studying elementary education. So we're changing topics here. I've heard, I know we talked last year about bringing a canes to Ames. Do we have any updates on that?
Steve, do you have anything you want to add or share with that? We do know that if we were to bring that to Ames, we'd basically be immortalized probably somewhere on campus, but.
Yeah, I think the Iowa State student representatives have been very vocal about that as a desire to bring in canes. I think the private sector is aware of that, and I think we're trying to recruit canes here right now. They need to find a spot. They're looking around for a potential spot to locate, and they understand the markets here, and I think they want to be here. Whether they can find a spot that meets their budget and in a spot they want, a location they want, is yet to be determined. But they're aware of it, and I think both the Economic Development Commission in the city and also the city staff is working to make that happen. So it's not over yet. It took us a long time to get an Olive Garden. Hopefully it won't take us as long to get a Canes, but people are working on it. It's not something we could use eminent domain and help the private sector by acquiring a spot. You have to remember that. It has to be agreed upon to purchase. So.
Well, I think we talked about this for many years too, and that is, each individual business has their own criteria. They want so many cars driving by, they want to have, certain square footage, they want to have the ability to get in and out to a site. And there's a reason why Chick-fil-A and a lot of their places are on South Duff, is because the traffic count is really high. I don't know, I mean, it'd be lovely to have one in Campus Town, but the point becomes is they have a certain criteria matrix that they use to decide where they're going to locate. And so last time I heard that people were trying to see if there's some kind of like a little chess game, being done, moving people around. But I have not heard anything, and Steve usually is the first person who hears about that. But we understand that, and
we're trying. Everybody
trying,
locally is trying to make it happen.
And we know the athletic department desperately wants to have one in Ames also.
Councilwoman?
I actually just wanted to follow up on the question about the towers. I live right near the towers. And I'm wondering, and Emily and Rachel can probably correct me on this, but we do have a Gold Route circulator that runs about every 5 minutes from Towers to Schilleter and back, or it's supposed to, I think. And it's a free route. So I'm wondering if there's the potential to catch that down to Bessie and then transfer to another Cyride route. That might be an alternative, not the most convenient, but perhaps something that could be done.
I do know, like the Gold Route is a lot more frequent. It doesn't go as late, which is another thing. And it also doesn't run on the weekends. So I think that's our big thing, which that's a good idea, and I appreciate that. And I could also relay that information just so we do have solutions that are a little bit less costly. But I think looking at just like, also it's probably not every 5 minutes realistically, like it would be ideal if it was in the perfect world, but yeah, I think weekends, there's no Gold Route, it's just Brown every 40 minutes, if that, and then nighttime looking at when it stops as it starts getting darker as well. I mean, it's going to start getting dark at like 5, and then there's kids walking home, 30 minutes. So, yeah.
I'm just going by the schedule as posted, which is probably not realistic, Cyride Transportation Board. I don't have control over that.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a really useful route for those people who don't know about it to get to the other routes that they could use.
Yeah, thank you.
Senator Kuzi?
Okay, I think you all got sent this before, but one thing I've kind of looked at in the past 2 weeks is the crosswalk. For students, you'll know that that's kind of by Jeff's Pizza. Some of us have talked about it before. So I have a proposal for you all. So the proposal is to install a lighted pedestrian crosswalk at the intersection of Lincoln Way and Stanton Ave. In about a mile, don't quote me on my math there, that's the only uncontrolled pedestrian intersection where pedestrians cross Lincoln Way, all 4 lanes, without a signal or indicator to drivers. So kind of the details with this, I've noticed and heard from many constituents and peers about their experiences related to safety at the crosswalk near Jeff's Pizza Shop. The issue is that vehicles, including buses in some cases, do not yield to pedestrians who are waiting to cross or stuck in the middle of Lincoln Way. Council, last week you heard about a pedestrian island when you discussed the lane reduction at Duff and Lincoln. I've seen students stuck there, and I have some data to back that up. So 2 weeks ago at 4 o'clock, I collected my own data. So I stood outside of Jeff's Pizza Shop, set a timer on my phone for 10 minutes, and then recorded the number of pedestrians that wanted to use the crossing. Then I also recorded the number of drivers who failed to yield. So in that collection, what I did is I stood there with my phone with a counter app. Anytime a student stood still, so meaning that they were waiting and had not just approached the, I'll call it the rumble strip, the accessibility ramp of each portion of the sidewalk there, each time a pedestrian was standing still at the intersection waiting to cross, I recorded a number. I hit the plus sign. So in 10 minutes, I observed 32 pedestrians standing there, in, like I said, in 10 minutes. 92 drivers did not yield. They drove past. There are two groups of consecutive amounts of 18 cars, and that was westbound. So the light had turned at the Memorial Union next to Starbucks. The cars started going westbound. 18 cars in a row, or you could say 9 per lane, did not stop for the 3 students who were waiting. If this were nighttime, they wouldn't be seen. If a student correctly assumed that they have the right-of-way at this intersection, they would have been hit, which would injure them a lot, especially if it was 18 cars who were running them over. It's no joke, it's serious. So really the goal of this proposal is to inform you all of the life safety risk here, and then propose the lighted button-activated indicator, which improves visibility and identifies the drivers who deliberately break state traffic law. In the 10 minutes, if the entire police force was there in call it a sting operation, that would be about $12,000 of ticket revenue, because those citations in the Iowa Code schedule are about $135. So 92 by 135, again, my math is not great, but I am an engineering major. That's $12,000 of revenue, which could have been generated. I'm not saying that citations are an income source. I'm saying that this is a tangible number. And then altogether, I just want to discuss this with you all, council, and understand the next steps in getting this lighted crosswalk indicator installed. And we can talk about funding, we can talk about risk, we can talk about construction and what that constrains. For anyone interested, I printed off like a little picture of what I'm proposing. There's a button. They're ADA accessible. You can either wave your hand in front of the button or press it with your finger. And a lot of these, like we see on Lincoln Way already, have enunciators, which improve accessibility. So right now, the crosswalk, I would say, is not accessible compared to the others that we already have. So the proposal is improving that so that drivers can see the pedestrians that might be obstructed in their field of view by a vehicle that's parked on the south side of Lincoln Way there, or understand the drivers, like I said, who are deliberately not yielding to pedestrians. And then also for drivers like myself, see the flashing amber lights and understand there's a pedestrian there waiting, and that will indicate to myself or others to slow down with brake lights, with the amber lights, and then let the pedestrians cross. Any questions on that?
No, but I was going to ask Steve to talk about it, and then anyone else can jump in after that.
Oh, well, never mind then.
Well, first of all, there may be some disagreement or confusion on crosswalks. I know the campus it's different, but I believe on city streets, drivers, whether they like it or not, I don't believe they have to stop or yield to pedestrians unless they're in the crosswalk, in the street. In other words, they're waiting on the side, they don't have to stop. You might not like that, but that's the way it is. So it is inconvenient, but they don't have to stop. They would not be a citation issue. I do want to point out, though, it's interesting, back in 2017-18, the city and the university jointly sponsored a study to deal with safety along the Lincoln Way corridor. I think it was from Union to Highland Avenue. And this issue came up, and when no one could agree, we did some other things about cleaning out the medians and making it a threshold where people could cross, a sanctuary where they could stand as the traffic moved by. But no, I think, major improvement was made that you're suggesting. But we also had another plan that followed, and it was known as our walk, bike, and roll. It was a multimodal plan. And in that, we identified that particular area, Stanton and Lincoln Way, as a problem area. In fact, the problem was exacerbated. The university once had a gravel road, this was before your time, from Welch Avenue that was on the north side of Lincoln Way. It was to circumvent going around Lake Laverne. But what they did is, at that time, they stubbed out a spot right across from the Stanton intersection. So that exacerbated the need. People started crossing there. We were trying to direct people into Welch and other places that we had already made the investment as safe walk. So it increased the problem area, if you would. Now, the good thing about it is the city council took note of that, and they have included that in the capital improvement plan for the city. It is in there. Now, it's for 2029 they're talking about. You have to understand there's a lot of multimodal problems in the city, and they have to prioritize, but they have it built in there. It's a $400,000 project that will include a hybrid beacon, which is a self-actuated pedestrian crossing that you're talking about. And we have to talk to the council and people around it. It's also going to probably fill in that median so people will only have a right in and right out of Stanton Avenue, if you could picture that, to increase safety. So it's in the plan, the city council is aware of it, and we hope to take care of it. Now, it's maybe not next year as you want. They would have to bump other priorities they have already identified before that. So that's where we are on that particular project. They're aware of it, and they plan to correct the situation.
Tim, did you want to add anything to this?
Oh, thanks. So I appreciate the concern, and all of us are very concerned about the safety. Just from a procedural perspective, what anyone can do is they can submit a concern they have to the city council, and we almost always, if there's a safety issue, we'll refer this to staff and let the staff look at that. In some instances, they'll do a traffic study. So I just want to be concerned a little bit. We only have so much time tonight, and I know we've got some other agenda items. I think we should look at this because you've given this some thought, but we're not going to be able to solve this tonight, but I want to give you a path forward in terms of next steps.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and that's what I was especially seeking tonight. I do want to just share appreciation that it's in the capital plan as well. I think safety is definitely the #1 priority, especially when the impact is so large. And I'm seeing head nods in the room again. This needs to be a priority if we can move it up. Absolutely, let's do it. And forget parking when students could get hurt or pedestrians could get hurt or somebody coming off of Welch Avenue who is impaired. What if they get hurt when they're in the crosswalk, but a driver doesn't stop? Or someone who's not impaired, who's a student, maybe somebody in a wheelchair. When that happens, and the signal is coming in 2029 or whenever, will you regret it? That's my question, and that doesn't need an answer. But I'd like you all to think about that. Yeah, again, we can discuss this further.
Well, I think that appreciate you bringing it up. I think it's already in the capital improvement plan. At this point, I think council can take it under advisement in terms of whether it gets moved up, because the council does have the privilege of going ahead and looking at moving things up. But the point is, if we move it up, that means something else gets delayed. So that becomes a traffic engineering, what are the highest priorities. But the point, I think your comments, are duly noted. We do appreciate that, and not trying to cut you off, but there's other things like we want to try to get to also.
Just one other kind of question on that. Councilman Tim, I watched your meeting last week. You had a comment about 683 responses, I think whether it was Facebook or a survey or something like that. And then other council members commented about low input, especially on issues like these and the intersection at Duff and Lincoln Way. I'd encourage you to reach out to the students. There's 31,000 of us, and I think in the future we can explore ways to get more responses to those surveys. I just want to make a note of that while we're here. I think each and every one of you talked about it. Yeah, I just wanted to add that note, and then, yes, like you were saying, we can move on to downtown engagement.
Sorry, Mayor. This is actually something for student government. I believe in that study that we worked on back in 2017, 2018, one of the problems that was identified was pedestrian behavior and the way they interact with the signals at Welch or at other intersections, and there was a really low rate of people actually using the signalization or knowing when to cross. And my suggestion would be, in the intervening time, while we're waiting for this capital improvement to occur, education of the students, especially those who are living off campus, push the safety issue at those intersections. Because as you say, the vehicles are not gonna stop because, well, Iowa law says you have to be in the crosswalk for a vehicle to yield. And it seems to me the most proactive thing in the meantime is to work on educating everybody who uses that corridor. And we've done that in the past as a city. I don't know if we have plans to do that in the future. We used to have a walk, bike, and roll kind of education plan where we go out and stand on the corner on Lincoln Way and talk to people about safe crossings. And it seems like it might be time for that to happen again, because the pedestrians also have a responsibility for paying attention. And I see an awful lot of people with their headphones on and not really watching because they think they have the right of way, and they maybe don't. And so that can add to a really tragic situation. I think it's gotta come from both sides, and we can work through this and make it a safer intersection.
In response to that, I'm just getting a little confused. I think we just said that pedestrians only have the right of way if they're in the crosswalk.
In the crosswalk.
So can you give an example of when they wouldn't have the right of way? Like you referenced here?
If they're standing on the corner, or
Okay,
if
so
they're
that would be-
crossing against a light down on Welch or at Lynn. I see a lot of people running across Lincoln Way in between lights. So I'm just talking about general corridor safety as well, not just the corner of Stanton and Lincoln Way, but the whole corridor. We've got a lot of people moving back and forth there on a regular basis, and we've got a lot of traffic perpendicular to those people.
Do you know of citations for jaywalking or other behavior like that?
I don't think our police typically give citations for jaywalking. I haven't heard about many of them, but there are laws in place about it, and I'm not talking about the legality. I'm just talking about the safety. The cars have expectations, the drivers have expectations, and it can't be all on the drivers. We have to have aware pedestrians as well. And
Looks like-
so the meeting together, I think, is important.
Thank you. Looks like we're gonna have a comment quick from Speaker Pursley and then the mayor, and then move to downtown engagement.
Yeah, so I wanted to agree with our city councilwoman over there. I think it's a really great option to explore working together on pedestrian behavior programs and education programs from the city side and from Iowa State side. As a driver in Ames, I see a lot of students and people crossing the crosswalks on their phones, not paying attention. And I think part of our issue is pedestrians don't really know how to cross safely. So I definitely think that's something we could work on in the future, but I think it's appropriate to move on now.
Yeah.
And I would just add, we don't want to single out students. There are a lot of people who are not students that also don't do a very good job crossing through crosswalks. We have a big change coming up in Ames in the next couple of years. I'd like to ask Brian Phillips to just touch on our solid waste garbage changes that are coming up, and also expanding recycling. So Brian, if you want to just cover a few things for a while, and then we can certainly take questions after that.
Yeah, I'll be brief. So for the last 50 years, Ames has utilized a waste-to-energy facility to handle most of the disposal of solid waste that is generated in the community. So you throw things away, it goes to the resource recovery facility, we pull out ferrous and non-ferrous metals, we shred the remaining bits, and whatever is combustible out of that amount gets burned in the power plant as a supplemental boiler fuel. That system has encountered some increasing challenges over the last, let's say, 10 to 15 years. And so we're going to be moving away from that system, and our goal is to open a new facility by July 1 of 2027, where we intend to continue some of the unique things that we have experience with in trying to pull valuable recyclable materials out of the solid waste before the remainder is landfilled. But it also means that a lot of the efforts that currently we rely on our waste to energy system to achieve a lot of our landfill avoidance. And so many of you may have noticed we don't really have robust curbside recycling in Ames as compared to other communities you might be familiar with. The City Council is going to be discussing in the next couple of weeks whether the city moves towards a more traditional curbside recycling approach for single-family homes and for small multifamily properties. For those of you who live on campus, Iowa State has an existing recycling program. They collect recyclables that are separated from trash, and those materials are then recycled. So on campus, folks probably wouldn't experience much of a difference. If you live in a larger multi-residential property, a large apartment complex, that's going to be one of the areas that we're going to have to do some more work in the next couple of years to figure out what the best approach is. So those larger properties present a bit more of a challenge in terms of trying to minimize contamination and get cooperation from everybody and find a space to put containers that can take all of the different types of recycling compared to a single-family home. So, in summary, in the next couple of years, you're going to find that we're handling solid waste a lot differently, that there are more recycling opportunities in the community at the curb. We also have been expanding our recyclable drop-off programs. So outside of the resource recovery plant, we have a location where people can take separated recyclable materials, cardboard, mixed paper, aluminum, glass, and so forth, and drop that off at no charge. And we intend to continue doing that and identifying a couple other locations where we may be able to set up drop-offs in the community. So, did I cover everything you'd like me to, Mayor?
Yeah, if you want to just talk a little bit about what's causing part of this, motivation at the power plant, and also maybe just touch on food waste also and some of the options we're pursuing.
Sure. So there are a couple of different challenges that we have right now, which is what has led us to move away from waste to energy. One is that the chemistry of performing waste to energy in our current operation doesn't work the way that it did a number of years ago. So we operate on natural gas to fire the boilers at the power plant. When waste to energy began, we operated on coal, and that resulted in a different chemistry inside the boilers that when we converted to natural gas, created this corrosive environment in the boilers. Also, the volume of plastic that is thrown away now compared to what was thrown away in 1975 is considerably higher. And so those two things in combination result in a very aggressive atmosphere inside of our boilers and a lot of very expensive maintenance that occurs. So we looked at a bunch of different alternatives for how we might address that corrosion and continue performing waste to energy. But in order to continue doing waste to energy, we would have to invest a significant amount of money into new infrastructure. And the problem that presents is that then we cannot invest in alternatives for more environmentally friendly energy production, for purchasing more economical energy off of the electric grid. So moving away from waste to energy frees up our ability to purchase cheaper energy off of the grid, to invest in new generation, which we're going to be doing in the next 5 years or so as we build some of the replacement infrastructure for the power plants. And it also provides a more reliable method to dispose of the solid waste compared to what we're doing now. Is there anything else?
Food waste also?
Yeah, food waste, we've for a number of years had a food waste diversion program. It's a pilot program where People can obtain a green 5-gallon bucket where they can collect food scraps and then bring it to the resource recovery plant and have it composted. That program has been a pretty small program for the last, for the time that we've operated it in terms of the tonnage of materials that comes through. Food waste is a bit of a challenge because it can be not the kind of thing that you want to have in a bin outside of your house for weeks on end. So we are looking at ways that we can improve our ability to accept food waste. We're going to be evaluating in our new facility how we can implement programs for yard waste and composting and other organic disposal methods. But as we look to put together this new facility that we're going to be accepting all the solid waste for the whole county at, we're identifying ways that we can help make sure that the material that's disposed of ends up going to the right place. So we're looking at technologies that can help minimize the amount of liquid matter that we end up putting in a truck and hauling to a landfill where it doesn't do a lot of good and it costs us a lot of money to put it in a truck and drive it a long distance. So we're looking at equipment in the new facility that can help us remove that and dispose of it more economically.
How will students living on and off campus be impacted by this?
So students on campus, I don't think you're going to experience much of a difference in day-to-day how you dispose of your garbage and your recycling. The university has pretty good programs for that. If you're off campus, I think you're going to be, if you're in a house at some point here in the next 6 to 18 months, you're probably going to see a recycling cart show up on your doorstep, and we'll be asking you to do it. And if you're in an apartment, then it's probably later down the line, but certainly there are voluntary programs that you can participate in to take your recyclable materials to if you don't want to throw them away.
Any city council members want to add anything to what Brian just talked about?
We have a quick comment from one of our co-directors of sustainability, and then to Speaker Pursley.
I actually have a question. There's been a lot of construction lately, and construction produces a lot of waste. Do you guys have a set standard for how you dispose of this responsibly?
Construction in the private sector, where construction and demolition debris is generated, it's disposed of at the landfill generally. We are looking at, in our new facility, being able to take light C&D material, so things like wood waste and scrap metals and things like that we have the ability to separate out. Unfortunately, some products aren't really easily separated out and will ultimately go directly to the landfill. Things like shingles or concrete rubble that can't be recycled, or drywall, things of that nature. So we are looking at ways that we can accept some of it, process it to the extent that we can to remove some of the valuable materials and reuse them. But otherwise, ultimately, it's going to end up in the landfill.
Are you referring to specifically like paving projects or building construction?
Just in general.
So another component is if it's a city project, one of our facilities, we have in some projects, like the water plant, for example. The water plant was built in 2017, and that project was a LEED certified project. And so as a part of the construction, the contractor that was constructing it had to set up separated collection bins for the different debris that might be generated so that as much of it as possible could be recycled. So it didn't all get commingled in one big dumpster that got hauled off to the landfill. So we look to do things like that on city projects when we can, but a private sector construction project doesn't have those kinds of restrictions.
Speaker Pursley.
So I have one question on this topic. I know you talked about single-family homes, apartments, and on campus. But for sororities and fraternities, it's a very specific circumstance. Would you include them in the recycling program?
At the outset of the program, I don't think that we're going to be looking to include them, simply because it's closer to a larger multifamily property with larger volumes as compared to a single-family home with 3, 4, 5 residents.
Mm-hmm.
But we are going to be, so we're going to be looking at working on an individual basis with the multifamily properties to try to figure out what's the best solution for them. What we don't want to do is say, you're going to have to recycle now multifamily properties or fraternities and sororities, and then it doesn't work well, people don't use it appropriately, we have a bunch of contamination, and then the material that is thrown in the recycling gets spoiled and we can't use it as recycling, and we end up landfilling it anyway. So I think we're going to be working on an individual basis, including with fraternities and sororities in the future, once we get this program up and rolling. This is going to be a big change in behavior and expectations and logistically, how we get 14,000 recycling carts out to the community in the span of a couple of months.
Yeah, thank you. Next, I would like to make a motion to move the discussion on the Ames Fire Station number 2 relocation to be our next topic on the agenda.
Second.
And then I would like to make a motion to end debate on the open discussion topic because of time constraints. We only have so much time with the city council and we want to get to every topic on our agenda.
There's been a motion to move the discussion on the Ames Fire Station up and then close the discussion on this topic. It's been seconded. Are there any objections?
Object.
Yep.
Just one remaining question. It's fast. Is there a cost associated with the recycling bins for the single-family home residents, and what bill is that seen on, if so?
Yeah, at the moment, we don't have that number nailed down. There will be some sort of a cost. We're not sure exactly what it will be until we figure out how we're going to be picking it up, how often that's going to occur, what kind of volumes we're going to be seeing materials-wise, and exactly what the city council would like to, how they would like to approach it. So our expectation is that cost will be relatively low, but there will be a cost. It's a new service. So. Okay, and then the second part of that, what bill would that be attached to? It's going to depend on how the city council chooses to proceed with it. So we'll know more. I don't want to suppose how it's going to work until we have that conversation with the city council. We're going to be doing that in the next month or so to learn more about how, to get approval to proceed and move forward with the project.
Thank you.
We'll now move to a discussion on the upcoming referendum vote on Fire Station number 2 relocation, how potential relocation impacts student life, and a discussion on Ames Fire Department and their relationship with Iowa State University.
Well, it's my privilege to introduce Fire Chief Higgins, and the reason I asked that this get flip-flopped is that anticipated this may generate a lot of questions because this is regarding the fire station located in Campus Town being relocated, and so Chief, appreciate you taking time out of your evening to join us, and we'll let you go ahead and I think if we could maybe spend 15 minutes or 20 minutes, on this topic, I think that'd be a good time frame to shoot for.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here tonight. I'm pretty excited to be sharing with you an opportunity to improve safety for not only Iowa State, but also for our entire community. And that starts with a November 4th Tuesday election, where you're going to see a bond referendum to relocate Fire Station number 2, which is currently located over at 132 Welch Avenue. I'm sure some of you have seen it before as you traverse the area. Over to State Avenue, 601 State Avenue would be on the west side of State on the top of the hill near the shared use path. A couple reasons why we're looking to relocate Fire Station number 2 right now. This isn't a new project. This is something that we've been talking about for quite a few years. We have a really great opportunity, a fiscal responsibility opportunity to the community, and so that's why we're moving now. That's why you're going to see it on the Tuesday, November 4th vote. One of the big opportunities that we have with relocating Station 2 over to State Avenue is improved response times. And as your fire chief, the most important thing that I do is make sure that when you call 911, we come. We are in the service business of you call, we come. And
Chief, make sure they understand where State Avenue is. We know that, but everyone understand where it's at.
Yeah, so State Avenue, if you are on, it's in between Mortensen Road to the south and Lincoln Way to the north. And it is just, it's about a mile, a little over a mile from current Welch Avenue over to State, if that helps.
To the west, yeah.
To the west, yes. So by moving our fire station to the west, we're gonna be able to reach 120 more calls for service within a 5-minute window that we're not able to reach right now. And I don't know about you, but 120 calls is 120 opportunities to make a difference in somebody's worst day. And so those are opportunities that we want to take advantage of. Some of you have maybe been out there on Welch Avenue in front of station number 2 on a busy Thursday, Friday, Saturday night during the school year, and you are very familiar with what I'm talking about when it comes to the safety of our students and pedestrians in that area. It is rather difficult when the call comes in to go provide emergency services to get our apparatus out of that station safely sometimes. It'll take the crew to actually come out onto the road to remove the pedestrians from that area to safely pull out the engine. They'll get on the engine and then they'll respond to the call. And unfortunately, that station is not designed for our apparatus to pull around the back and pull through. So when they get back from the call, they have to back in. And so we do the same thing over again. So there's a huge opportunity to improve the safety in Campus Town as well. A lot of people don't understand the great relationship that we have with Iowa State University and President Winterstein. Our operating budget is actually funded 25% of it through Iowa State University, which is a little over $2.5 million, which is a huge blessing for our community and just shows the cooperative relationship that we have with Iowa State. Additionally, President Winterstein and Iowa State University are pledging a piece of land that would be leased for 52 years on State Avenue that would be free of charge for our community. Additionally, when the original station number 2 was relocated from its old location under Clyde Williams Stadium, that was the football stadium back prior to 1966, there was an agreement between the City of Ames and Iowa State University to fund 50% each of that new fire station. And Iowa State agreed that we would fund 50% of that station, but if you ever go to sell it, we want 50% of those proceeds given back to Iowa State University. Thank you to President Winterstein and her commitment to not only Iowa State University and the City of Ames, but the entire community. She has pledged to reinvest that 50% of the proceeds that would go back to Iowa State back into this project to further reduce the debt service. So we have free land, an opportunity to improve safety and response times in our community, and the opportunity to reduce the cost that would be incurred to the citizens of Ames. That station, like I said, was built in 1966. We do not meet any ADA requirements at that station. It's rather small. It is the most expensive from a utility standpoint station to run by almost double of what the cost is of our other fire stations. It's also a redevelopment opportunity in Campus Town. When we go to sell that fire station, we have an opportunity for new businesses, possibly new housing, and obviously new jobs. So we're pretty excited about that opportunity down there. And then it's also a smart use of our resources. The most expensive part of running a fire station is personnel. It makes up over 92% of our operating budget. With Station 2 already having an operating budget established and the apparatus there, we're able to relocate those at no additional cost to a new fire station. And in fact, we've identified over $172,000 of additional items that we can bring over to a new fire station that don't need to be replaced or bought new when we relocate to a new fire station. One of the things that we currently have is anytime we have a structure fire in our community, it takes all 3 fire stations and all of our firefighters are on duty to respond to that call. Meanwhile, 911 emergencies don't hit the pause button, they continue to come in. So what we do is we backfill the fire stations with firefighters that are off duty, we bring them in, and we have reserve apparatus that we put in service to serve the rest of the community and the emergency calls that go on during that time. Unfortunately, we don't have the space at station number 2 to store one of our reserve apparatus. So that's currently being stored up at the Bloomington water tower underneath. There's a garage access. Unfortunately, that space, it gets our vehicle out of the weather, but it's not conditioned, and it has access to rodents down below, not in the water tower, but underneath that can get into our apparatus. So we have to remove all of the water and all of the equipment. So when our crews are working a structure fire and we need to put that apparatus in service, It takes a couple of hours to get the vehicle, bring it back to the station, get water and equipment on it in order to respond to the calls that continue to go on during that time. That is unacceptable. We have a solution with the new fire station number 2 where we would have a 4th bay where we'd be able to house that additional apparatus. Yeah, with that, I'd be happy to entertain any questions and go from there. I can tell you a little bit about the vote. It is a $10.5 million bond referendum to fund the project for relocating Station 2 from Welch to State Avenue. That works out to a little over to $11 per 100,000 of the assessed property tax just for the fire station, an annual increase. So when you look at Ames and the average price of a home is around $300,000. So for that taxpayer, for that property owner in our community, that would be $33 increase in their property tax per year, which works out to about $2.75 increase in their property tax per month to fund just this fire station project.
Gloria or Amber, do you want to add anything to what Chief just presented, or?
You know, I think the only thing, and Chief touched on this, is that we have the $10.5 million bond referendum, but because of the great partnership that we have with Iowa State, once that building on Welch sells, and we don't have the appraisal back yet, right, Chief? Yeah.
Not yet.
So we know that Welch is a prime area for development, though. So when that building does eventually sell and that money is reinvested back, it reduces that overall bond, and that just helps to, of course, continue to maintain that fiscal responsibility that the Chief talked about.
I would just add that this is a vote at our city election, and Councilmember Beatty Hansen and I, Councilmember Corrieri, and the mayor are all up for re-election this year. And any of you who are registered voters in Ames should be coming out to vote for council, because we're your representatives. And if you come out to vote for council members, you are also able to come out to vote for this referendum. So you do have a voice in what happens. The referendum has to pass by 60% of the voters who turn out. And I can tell you, having represented the 1st Ward and the 3rd Ward on council now for the last 12 years, that the turnout at my precinct, where I live over on Hayward, is typically one of the lowest turnouts in the city of Ames, because there are so many students who don't even realize that they could be voting in elections here in Ames if they change their registration to vote here, as opposed to voting at home, wherever home might be. So I just want to take that opportunity to educate you on your civic opportunities.
Speaker Persley.
Well, I appreciate you both for being here and sharing that information with us. All of this information is really good. My question is, what kind of feedback are you seeing from the Ames community on this? Are you pretty positive that the outcome from this vote will come through? How much information do you know from the community?
Yeah, we are hopeful. We've been engaged with the community quite a bit. On Monday, I got to speak with over 120 different citizens in Ames through different events, through Rotary. We got Kiwanis Club coming up. We were actually at the housing fair here in the Memorial Union a couple weeks ago. We've hosted a couple of spotlight events at Fire Station number 2, inviting the public to come in and see the fire station, to experience what the firefighters are experiencing. We've had an open house at Station number 1, sharing information, podcasts. And so far, overwhelmingly, we've had positive feedback from people, realizing that, yeah, we understand you need to move that fire station. And so our encouragement has always been, get out and vote. Our job is to make sure that you're an informed voter. It'd be unethical for me to tell you how to vote, and the law prevents me from telling you how to vote. But my job as your fire chief is to make sure that you're informed, and I wouldn't be here tonight unless there was a need in our community when it came to improving public safety, not only to you, but to all the residents of Ames. So far, we've had really great feedback and great support from the community, from the mayor, the city council, the city manager, and his team. Yeah.
Yeah, and we appreciate that information so much. Thank you.
Senator Gertis.
Good evening. Thank you for being here. I am one of 3 senators representing the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and I also have the privilege of serving on the Local Affairs Committee under ex officio Bolin. You've already kind of answered most of my questions, but the one question I have left is, if the referendum passes, what's the expected timeline for construction and the transition into the new site?
Yeah, excellent question. So right now we have preliminary plans that take about 6 months to actually make those plans become buildable. We're working with an architectural firm out of Texas who is very familiar. They've done over 380 fire stations, so we've been able to identify a lot of cost-saving measures by working with this architectural firm that's familiar with fire stations. So 6 months to make the plans buildable, a couple of months to go out for bid, and then it'd be a 12-month window to build the fire station. So we'd be hoping to break ground in late 2026 and then move into the station in 2027.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Senator Iona Dimhoff.
Hello, so I'd first like to thank you for coming and speaking to us tonight. I just wanted to say that I've seen the plans for the proposal on the state app, and it looks great. It looks like it definitely needs to be, the size needs to be upgraded from the current fire station. So the plans look great. I've also seen Ames Fire posts on Facebook. I've engaged with it. I think the one post I saw had like over 400 likes and like 50 comments on there, and everyone interacting. And so I just want to thank you for the great job that Ames Fire is doing in educating everyone. I see in the comment sections people asking questions and fellow Ames citizens being able to educate themselves with all the different attempts, like everything you're doing to get out the word and correctly educate people on this referendum. And I think this relocation really betters the safety of all of Ames. I just want to thank you for everything you're doing to educate everyone in Ames.
Thank you so much. It's truly my honor.
Chief, can you just talk about, too, how the types of fires have changed over the years in terms of the byproducts and what's being done to help for the health and address the worst situation that you have, and that is cancer amongst firefighters?
Yeah, so when that station was built in '66, which means it'll be 60 years old here in a couple of months, there was no thought of carcinogens from fire. We didn't know a whole lot back then. We knew we went into fires, we put them out, and we came back to the station and went about our day. What we've learned over the years is that firefighters are exposed to higher rates of cancer due to the carcinogens, due to the byproducts of fire that we have throughout our community, whether it's through vehicle fires, house fires, the plastics that you see. And so one of the things that we want to build into this new station that we just don't have the square footage or the ability to do is a carcinogen reduction strategy that would actually allow firefighters the opportunity when they come off the apparatus after a fire to go through a shower facility, doff all their clothes, put on new clean station clothes, and be able to clean those the clothes that they wore to that fire separately from their other laundry. Right now at station number 2, when they go out on a call, they use the same washer and dryer for all their equipment and clothes, whatever's on it, and the same washing machine that they'll also use to wash their bath towels, their linens, their tea towels, all those things for doing dishes. And that's just unacceptable from a fire chief of taking good care of our community and our people. So with this new station, it would actually have showers built in to decon the firefighters before they go to the living side of the station. It would also have what we call a hot and a cold zone, where the truck bay with the equipment would be out into the hot area, so the firefighters would only be out there when they need to be, and then in the cold area is where they're not exposed to the carcinogens. So a lot of effort's gone into the planning and design of this to limit that exposure of the firefighters so they can continue to serve the community.
Seeing no more discussion on this topic, we will now move into downtown engagement. Discussion of ideas regarding campus and community connection initiatives, events, or programs.
Well, thank you. I'm going to ask our city manager to talk about one of the developments we're considering, or not we're considering, that's being considered in the downtown area, and also we can also touch on the creation of the downtown vision for downtown that was developed jointly between Ames Main Street, or actually Ames Main Street did the lead, and then the City of Ames participated as a partner in that. So Steve, if you want to take care of that, and then Tim and Anita, if you want to jump in with any comments, that'd be great too.
As you know, living in other cities throughout the country, that a downtown is the heart of the city. And it's important for us to increase the viability of that particular area. So we want to make it a place for people to live. We want to work there, play, do commerce there. So the council is always looking at ways to expand that downtown area, to have that ability to draw those people to downtown. One of the major projects that's underway now is a project you've probably seen on Lincoln Way between Kellogg Avenue and Clark Avenue. Can you picture it? It's a property that was purchased by a private sector developer who I want to give a lot of credit to, because it took a lot of guts and vision to acquire those properties. The first thing they did, they took a major risk by acquiring those properties. And I can tell you that in the history of Ames, no one has tried this yet, because it's a big risk to do that. So they acquired those properties. They've cleared them, so that site is currently cleared. Now, I can assure you they're doing everything they can to obtain ideas for development and backing for development of that property. The economy, the increase in their interest rates, along with some changeover in the developer partnership they have, has delayed that. It's been a long time coming. But what's envisioned there is a mixed-use facility that would have a hotel, a boutique hotel. It started out also with office buildings, also condominiums and apartments, and then accompanying commercial entities, restaurants, and other shops combined with it. So you can see how it fits our goal of attracting people for the downtown. People live there, attract people to come here, come down there, increase the viability. Another interesting feature of that is we want to tie that, remember that's on Lincoln Way, on the north side of Lincoln Way, you know where I'm talking about? We want to tie that to Main Street. How are we going to do that? Well, there's going to be envisioned that we're actually going to have an elevated crossway over the railroad tracks to make it convenient to physically tie that facility. So it's a great addition. It's a long time coming, and they're still trying to get partners in the development, quite frankly. Now, more recently, they've raised the issue of perhaps putting in a conference center along with it. So that's a relatively new idea that would be a companion with the hotel. So they're working to try to make it successful as possible. It's been slow going, but I can assure you that they want this project to come to fruition as soon as possible. And I think it'd be a valuable addition to downtown. Combined with the living opportunities for students down there, combined with the commercial new entities that will be down there, restaurants and other entertainment centers, it will be a draw, hopefully, for all the students along with other residents throughout the community, and perhaps, we hope, outside of the community. We'll draw people from all over the region. So we're pretty excited about it. As I said, it was a big risk on the developer's part. Now, normally we would have no say-so in this. It's strictly a private sector operation. The city cannot, again, exercise its power of eminent domain. You've heard of that probably, eminent domain, where we can actually condemn property. We could do that for fire stations and city-related projects, water mains, parks. We can't do that to condemn a person's private property and turn it over to private development. So they had to do that on their own, and that was a big lift for them. So they've come a long way, but they've a lot more to go. Now, how will they interact with us? I'm sure, like on many of the projects, they're going to come to us for incentives, and that's where the city council will get involved on the level of incentives they want to offer to the developer to help them complete the project. There's also discussion on this new conference center, on how they're going to build that, how they're going to finance that, and also who is going to take the responsibility to operate it. So there's a lot of moving parts here, but when it's completed, I think of an impressive addition to the downtown, which I hope all of you will take advantage of and spend some more time downtown. As part of the vision, I don't know, Brian, you want to talk about the vision? Or the mayor, mayor actually is a co-chair. Why don't you talk about the vision that downtown people are putting together?
The Ames Main Street downtown area really didn't have a cohesive vision, and what happened is they're run by a board, and every year board members changed, and consequently a vision kind of changed along with it. And part of the challenge is that when they ask city for funds to do some minor improvements or something else, that also changes. And working with the city, it takes a while to get something into a budget, get it funded, and get it underway. So consequently, they were challenged to come up with a guiding vision for the downtown area. And so there is some concepts. It's not a master plan, because a master plan, we get the impression it's already a done deal. But looking at trying to increase the vibrancy in the downtown area through more people either living and or shopping, eating, providing other opportunities for housing. So that's why this LINK project on Lincoln Way fits in so well with that overall vision. And Senator, to your point about parking, that's a big question down there also, in terms of where people are going to park going down there if they're living down there. And so that's another piece that has to be looked at. So anyway, Ames Main Street took the lead on that. City Council was supportive of that, participated in some of the planning sessions or the input gathering sessions, and then ultimately a plan was developed. And if you just downtown, or if you Google a guiding vision for downtown Ames, you can come up with the documents and see what the plan came up with. So anyway, Tim or Anita, do you want to have anything you want to add regarding downtown? Tim, I know you're dedicated. You've been dedicated downtown for a really long time as a business person, and maybe Anita, you have something you want to add too. So.
I was just going to agree and just say too that city council members have had the opportunity over the years to come out to Welcome Fest, and often what I ask students is what would make this the kind of place where you, if you find your dream job here, would make this a place where you would want to stay. And a vibrant downtown with shops and things to do and restaurants is right up there with our park system. So we are listening. We are trying to make sure that we are aware and know what are the things that you're interested in seeing in our downtown. And we just want to remind you that we want to stay connected. We want to know what you're thinking and how we can make sure that Ames is the place that you would choose to stay.
Speaker Persley.
So I know I've talked to some people in the city about, I believe it was called the Dinky train that would go from the university to downtown. And are there any thoughts on bringing something like that down, but bringing something like that back, but instead more like a bus system or something like that? So more students can get downtown with public transportation.
Yeah, I would say those conversations are definitely being held, and we do want to have students have easy access to downtown areas, and also just reminding you, those of you who drive, that there is free parking downtown also. So. Not just in front of the shops where you may have to pay, but very near them, free parking. So come on down.
Seeing no further discussion, we'll now move. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I wanted to give another response on this Dinky concept. As I understand it, Leadership Ames has looked at this concept of a bus service like the Dinky model. I think that it's on hold a bit right now, but it has been discussed by members of the last Leadership Ames class. I don't know if the new Leadership Ames class will pick it up. They are working with the Alliance on it if they do, and so we'll learn more about it. Back in 2005, an ISU student, Tony Boric, actually did an analysis of whether we could reinstall light rail, and that is not a possibility. But I think the bus is something that is alive and well as at least a point of consideration.
Go ahead.
Anybody can answer this question, but from the city's perspective, what do you see as being the biggest barriers keeping students from engaging in the downtown area? Do you think it's, say, an outreach issue or more of a transportation issue or anything else?
I'd attempt to answer that one. I think it's a little of both. A lot of it, so with transportation, SciRide does come to City Hall. It's one of the points, what do you call that? Transfer points. And so a lot of different routes hit City Hall. And so if you are coming to downtown, that's likely where you might get off the bus, and it's also where you can pick up some other buses that go to other places. So it's not hard to get to with SciRide, and like we talked about, I think SciRide, at least from campus out, depending on the time of day, admittedly, you can usually get those buses pretty regularly. So I'm not sure if it's transportation, but campus has a lot that students need already. And I think it's a little bit hard to compete with that. There are definitely opportunities for fun restaurants and a lot of neat kind of boutique retail shopping in the downtown area. But in terms of restaurants, I mean, if students are living on campus, they might have a meal plan. They're probably not going out to restaurants a lot. And if they do, they might be going to restaurants they're more familiar with, maybe some of the chains on South Duff, things like that. So, but again, campus is already, a lot of students just have all their needs met with what's on campus. And so I think that is hard to compete with. Now, we have fun things to do downtown. So it's not that, I don't mean to say that students shouldn't come downtown, because they should. There's a lot of fun events. There's a lot of fun, again, shopping opportunities, but also events like music that will play sometimes in bars, admittedly, but also sometimes not. Sometimes just for part of a downtown event, might be on the street. So there are fun things to do, and so maybe it is marketing when it comes to those. And we try, I think, to hit some of the common avenues for marketing that students might see, social medias and things like that. But I think we could do more. That's just my take.
Senator Neal?
I think a lot of, with students not going downtown, this is something Local Affairs has been working on a lot. A lot of students just don't know what's going on downtown, so we have a couple projects going on in Local Affairs right now. Like an interactive map that Senator Gertis is heading up with Senator Iano Dimop and a few other members of Local Affairs to try and let students know what's going on down there. So a lot of that is an effort that we have to make as student government and as students to help each other out with making sure we know what's going on downtown, because downtown Ames does have some pretty extensive outreach going on. So I'd say that's, at least from my perspective, a big student government initiative that we should be taking.
Speaker Persley.
So this is something that I was reached out to about earlier in the year from a student. A student reached out about revitalizing Campus Town and more like beautification. I don't know if this is going to make sense, but there are those pits on Welch Ave that looks like there should be trees in them or something, but they're those gated off kind of pits, and mostly they just become trash cans for people on Welch Ave. So people reached out about adding plants or trees or something in that area to make it less of a trash pit / eyesore, and then also fixing lights in that area, maybe just making it a little nicer. And that's for anyone to answer that has information.
So I actually was just meeting with some of the business owners from Campus Town, because Campus Town is in my ward. And we agree that those fenced off areas are giant trash receptacles. And the city, I believe, has increased the policing of them and trying to pick things up. But those were designed as parts of the drainage equipment, the drainage system on Welch Avenue. And so the plants that are in there are supposed to be water garden kinds of plants that will soak up rainwater and help us manage the flow of water on Welch Avenue. I think it was a great idea in concept, and it has turned out to be not very effective in execution and the outcome. And I would hope that we're going to continue looking at that. One of the things that I am trying to focus on more now that that I'm in Ward 3 after redistricting is looking at what we can do to make Campus Town a more vital location where people from around the community visit. And obviously, optics are extremely important. We want people to look at Campus Town and feel like it's a place they want to be and that it's not a place to avoid. And so there's a lot of reputation that we have to work on and try to create that positive marketing. So I appreciate hearing that students are also concerned about those trash receptacles, as you might call them.
Yeah, and I agree if they are trying to go with a more native plant kind of direction, maybe some more taller grasses or something that is able to take up space so it doesn't become a trash receptacle.
Brian?
Yeah. So just 2 points. Yeah, we as city staff are aware of the challenges with the stormwater features that are in Welch Avenue. They're integral into the stormwater management system there, but we know that they're not working as intended, and we've been looking at some alternatives to present to the city council that we can implement in the future and improve the aesthetic of it. The other thing I wanted to mention was you had mentioned that you've heard comments about things like streetlights that are out and so forth. And this is a great opportunity to mention we have an app called Ames on the Go, and I'd encourage everybody to download it. I believe it's on both app stores. And you can mark down on a map with photos or without photos, descriptions of things that you want to bring to the city's attention. So issues such as burned out streetlights, trash accumulations that have been there for too long, traffic signs that are damaged, city property, parks that could use attention, or nuisance properties that you'd like somebody to take a look at. So I encourage you to get that app, Ames on the Go, and report these issues. It's the best way to get a hold of city staff because of the way that it routes the particular issue directly to the right staff person to address it. So you can certainly call or email, but that may take a little bit longer to address.
Thank you so much for that information. That's great. I've never heard of that before, so that's really good to know about. Thank you.
Seeing no further conversation, we will now move to the Climate Action Plan and Sustainability.
Thank you. Nolan, you've been here for about all over a year, I think. And Nolan is our sustainability coordinator, and so I've asked him to talk about just what some of his role is, what's going on, and maybe where we're headed.
Sure. Thanks for the introduction, and happy to be here tonight to talk about sustainability. So I'll just kind of go through some of our major areas of the Climate Action Plan and of our sustainability programs. Let's see, we talked about recycling already, so I won't touch on that, but start out with renewables. So renewable energy is something that we can do to have the most impact on greenhouse gas emissions, on sustainability in the community, especially being the electric utility in Ames. So we're looking to build out that renewable energy generation portfolio, which will be enabled by, as Brian mentioned, decoupling our waste system with our energy system. We have our community solar farm down by the airport, which is a great partnership at a couple levels with Iowa State. So we work with the horticulture department on research out there. They keep bees out there and monitor those and conduct research in that way. And then Iowa State also purchased a number of shares of the solar farm. when that was built. So there are still shares available. I would encourage, if you can afford it, to purchase those. It's a great option for getting your energy from renewable sources. They're fully transferable, fully refundable if you're moving around or you're moving out of town. So we do have those available. On the energy efficiency side, we have some programs that we're looking at for energy efficiency. So we have our rebate program for those upgrades, and then we've also just kicked off a free weatherization program. So we're offering basic weatherization services for all homes in Ames. So you should see some more information shortly from us on that program. If you're renting, you just need a property owner to sign off on that, but as I said, it's free. It could help lower your energy bills, save money, lower your emissions too from energy use. So that should be a great program. Let's see, on the transportation side, I think students do a great job getting around sustainably, walking, biking, using SciRide. These are great options to get around, with low emissions. I know SciRide's looking at expanding their electric vehicles, expanding biodiesel. So even powering those buses with sustainable alternative fuels is something that SciRide is doing also. And then from the city side, we're looking to expand our electric vehicle charging network. So for those looking at electric vehicles, we want to make sure that that charging is available for you. Another major area is with nature-based solutions. So think about trees, native plants, stormwater conservation, and pollinators. The city does rebates for all of those things. And then we work with a very active pollinator team. So that's in partnership with Prairie Rivers of Iowa. We have a 10-year pollinator plan that we're working towards to increase habitat and promote pollinators locally. So I encourage anybody interested in that to get involved with the pollinator team. They meet monthly and have regular events and a great way to engage to promote pollinators. And then I would say another area just in general, an opportunity for collaboration is around grants and outside funding opportunities. So last year we worked with the Sustainability Committee and the Iowa State Office of Sustainability to apply for a climate resilience grant. And that project was not funded, but it was still a great opportunity to collaborate and something that we'll continue to look at, those outside funding opportunities that could impact both the broader community and on campus. And then the City of Ames actually has a climate action grant program where we fund grants, community projects that help further all of the things that I've talked about, promote engagement with the broader community on sustainability and on some of these initiatives. So that's something that a committee or a student organization is eligible for and could apply for. So I would encourage that. I think I covered everything, all our major areas of the climate action plan. I'm happy to answer any questions and looking forward to continued collaboration with Iowa State on these initiatives.
You could also just comment on, we're not just expecting everyone else to do it and not do it ourselves. What kind of things are we doing from a vehicle standpoint from our fleet? And then maybe just talk about just what we're doing in terms of audits on our buildings and where we're going with that so we can try and help set the standards.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of actions that we're taking on our municipal operations side. So we'll be at City Council next week actually talking about energy audits. So we've just went and conducted pretty thorough energy audits on all of our municipal buildings, looking for any opportunities to invest those capital dollars in energy saving projects. So we feel like we have a good handle on that opportunity, and we'll incorporate those recommendations into our capital planning going forward to ensure that our buildings are running as efficiently as possible. We're looking at solar on some city buildings. So the new Fitch Aquatic Center, we're looking at putting solar on that building. And then on the fleet side, we've got 10 electric vehicles right now, I think is the number. And whenever a vehicle comes up for replacement, we consider it for transition to electric vehicle. Does it work operationally? Is there a good place to charge this vehicle? So we'll continue to transition our fleet over to electric vehicles.
One of the things that we have gone to is a hybrid for the police cruisers, which makes a big difference in terms of, and the police have said it reduces maintenance, but also certainly reduces our carbon footprint and makes it much better for our staff from that standpoint. So, but I think it goes without saying, the city by itself can't do everything. We can't fund everything, so it's going to have to be the community and trying to get them to be engaged, and that's part of Nolan's responsibility is for education, engagement, and trying to stimulate those improvements. Brown, anything you want to? Yeah, go ahead, jump in.
Yeah, thank you. I think Nolan covered a lot of it, so I would only just make a few additional points or things to consider. One of the 7 initial implementation steps that we're thinking about with the Climate Action Plan, it talks about net zero and net zero ready new construction. And we're constrained in the state from adding a lot of extra requirements for developers when they build their own developments, right? So if someone's building a housing development, we can incentivize things like net zero ready new construction, but it's, I think, impossible to require that. Now we can, when we're building city buildings, we can consider that. And in fact, the fire station number 2, with this move, we did on council vote to make that building net zero ready. That means it will have a geothermal system for heating and cooling, but it also means that it would be able to, if we were to decide to in the future, install solar panels on it, it would have the capacity to then be net zero. Now that's a policy decision that can be difficult sometimes because, as the mayor said, funding is something that we can't do ourselves for every single thing out there. Now for city buildings, it is up to us to decide to do that. But it was a point I meant to make earlier too with some of the suggestions I'm hearing for, hey, why doesn't the city do this? Or why doesn't the city do that? When it comes to, you name it, right? Parking ramp, more SIRIDE services, any of the amenities or services that the city provides, they take tax dollars to do. And sometimes user fees, right? But often we're talking property tax dollars for a lot of these services and amenities. And we're continually challenged, both from the state and federal level, with funding cuts, right? So that can be a hard situation to be in. People want increased services, they want increased amenities across a number of topics, so not just sustainability. But for sure, for sustainability, we have to think about this too. So it's a balance of what can we fund, how much can we get out of our property tax, right? Because we can't raise it a whole lot. And then we have to look at what really makes sense to do. For the sustainability stuff we're doing, where can we get the best bang for our buck? And so those are just some things to think about. I think, in an ideal world, we'd love to provide it all for the people of Ames, but we're fiscally constrained. And we do a really great job with running a responsible budget. But those are just some of our challenges too, I would add.
Anybody else from council want to jump in or make any other comments? Gloria?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we have discussed over the years that Nolan sort of mentioned, Bronwyn sort of mentioned, is the idea of incentives. And I think one of the things council is going to continue looking at is what are we incentivizing? And are we incentivizing sound, sustainable practices, or are we incentivizing something else? So when I think about the question about the construction debris earlier, one of the questions we've discussed over the years is, are we giving incentives that encourage people to demolish buildings? And should we give people incentives to demolish buildings? And that's a more difficult question than you might think if you're trying to be sustainable, because of course, new buildings have newer energy efficiency models that can be incorporated, but older buildings already have embodied energy. So you have a kind of push and pull. Is it better to demolish and take the hit on the construction debris, or to incentivize those new buildings and new techniques? And I think we're going to continue with those discussions as the Climate Action Plan moves forward, just to ensure that what we are incentivizing makes sense for our climate action goals.
Speaker Pursley.
So I know we've talked a lot about energy use and things like that. One of the biggest issues for Iowans right now is water quality issues, and we're seeing that all across Iowa. I understand that we're fiscally constrained, but I also understand that Iowa is the #2 out of all U.S. States in rising cancer rates because of our water quality issues, partially. I also know that the Raccoon River and the Skunk River have issues with water quality, and so what are you doing to mitigate that harm?
Well, that's a point that I probably could really wax eloquent on for a while, but Brian, do you, or Steve, you want to touch on, I mean, we have had people contact us with concerns about water quality, and our water quality is absolutely stellar. So Steve, maybe you want to just comment.
Both water and water pollution control, the wastewater treatment, it's highly regulated industries nationally. And we do a great job. We test it all the time, both the effluent that comes out of the plant, wastewater plant, and also the water treatment plant. And we do a great job at it, and we have almost confidence that we have high quality of water, and therefore we're also, our effluent that goes back in the river is treated, and we return into the river's high quality effluent. So that's very important. We're very lucky in Iowa. Some of you might live in cities that get their water from rivers. We have underground aquifers, which if you've ever seen it, you should come out to take one of our tours. It's underground aquifers where our water seeps down through sand and rock and is filtered. And we have high quality water. And we're one of the best tasting waters in the country, as you know, if you followed us. And that's because the council and mayor and council take great pride in that. We work very hard. So we back that up by testing all the time on that. And it's looked over by the state and federal government. And I can assure you we meet those regulations, and we'll continue to do that.
Can I add something to that?
Go ahead.
So I would add that, so that's the case, so our drinking water comes from this aquifer, as Steve mentioned. The rivers are still plenty full of nitrates, right? So he's talking about the water that we're drinking, but if you were to go wading in the river or, tubing or something like that, there is risk there. Now that is largely due to agricultural production upstream, right? And so the city is burdened with trying to take it out of our wastewater. So that's a big task for cities to have to do, is to clean up basically what's being dumped in the rivers upstream. So we're working on that with our water treatment plant. But I would add that we did set aside some funding each year, and we've had some success with finding landowners who live in the watershed upstream of us and installing saturated buffers or other water cleaning, what's the other one? Saturated buffer?
Bioreactors.
Yeah, bioreactor, thank you. Along their edge of field, right? So it's an edge of field project. And that's pretty, that was pretty groundbreaking at the time, or there was a new way to address our water quality issues, to think, well, what if we don't just have to take out more of it? What if we can stop that from getting into the river in the first place? And so we've had some success with that. Now there is still a lot to go, right? So as you can imagine, there's a lot of land that borders the rivers in our watershed. So we're still working on that, but that is one thing that we did see as an opportunity and we're trying to pursue.
Yeah, so we'll get an occasional email from somebody expressing concern about our drinking water, and we have a outstanding director of our water plant and wastewater plant, and he's a chemist beyond belief and just assures us that our water is extremely safe in terms of contaminants. Our water plant is less than 15 years old, 10, 15 years old.
Correct.
And that costs well over, I think, $50 or $60 million to build. And then there's tremendous filtration systems. And just as a side note, there are a lot of apprenticeship opportunities at the water plant and maybe at the water treatment plant too, I'm not sure, but one Iowa State student came up with an idea and they tested it out, and actually it's being implemented and saving money and allowing us to use less chemicals in terms of treating the water. So We are currently under construction with a $66 million wastewater treatment plant project, which is phase one of a two-phase project, so it'll probably be north of $100 million. Of all the nitrates that get discharged, this is according to this, our director, of all the nitrates that get discharged into the streams that make its way down into the Gulf, 93% come from farm fields. 7% come from city city water discharge. The state of Iowa alone in cities will be spending between $1.5 and $2 billion to try and reduce 7% down to 3.5%. It's a huge investment of tax dollars and resident dollars. And so to Bronwyn's point, trying to work with, and we didn't have to do this, we're trying to work upstream to try and reduce even the nitrates that are upstream, not because our nitrates are high being discharged from a wastewater treatment plant, but to further reduce it, and we get some nitrate reduction credits from the DNR. So we're really trying to do both what we have to do because the requirements are becoming so stringent. In fact, just as a side note, the federal government set a requirement for testing some kind of a discharge chemical. And it was like to the 10,000th percent. I mean, it was minuscule. And there's one problem. There's no equipment made anywhere in the world that can test to that level. So there is this disconnect that happens at times between the federal government and requirements and what actually can be accomplished. But I would say that this council, our staff, and everyone who works at the plants are highly committed to water quality, what you drink, and also what's discharged, being good stewards of the land, and also trying to do even more. So it's a great question, and it does come up from time to time, and there's media reports that come out. But I can assure you, based on the assurance we get, hey, I just won the lottery. I just got the city manager and assistant want to talk. So I'm going to shut up and let them talk. Go ahead.
And we've got about 5 minutes remaining.
I've got
Make it short.
Let me tell you something. There's a great story we have because we always try to attract students to city government, give them opportunities for internships. Well, I'm going to talk about these two plants that are multi-million-dollar plants. This is a water pollution control plant and a water plant. We actually have student interns that run, I want to say this again, that run that operation by themselves. We train them to do that. On weekends, we hire them. And they are the only people when they're running those two operations. They get credible experience. They get great jobs afterwards. People who are majoring in environmental sciences. I'm not aware of any other city in the country that does this. It benefits us, quite frankly, because a lot of the employees don't like to work every other weekend. So it gives them the weekend off. The students get incredible experience. We give them an opportunity to put something great on their resume and get them great jobs afterwards. So there are other opportunities to work for our local government in other areas of that you might be concentration on. So you might want to check with us, see about other opportunities. We can really build the resume for you and get you some good jobs from that experience.
And if the water tastes bad on the weekends, blame a student. No, just kidding. Brian, what do you want to say?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to mention, if you look around the community and look in an older neighborhood, like north of downtown or something like that, you'll find that, you're not going to find stormwater features in a neighborhood that was built that long ago. You're not going to find it in a commercial development that was constructed a long, long time ago. But if you look more at the newer neighborhoods that have been developed, newer commercial developments that occur, you'll find that we have stormwater requirements that have to be met to treat both the quantity of water and the quality of water that runs off of a development over a certain size. So when there are new neighborhoods that are developed, we will evaluate with our public works engineering staff whether the proposed treatment efforts are acceptable to ensure that the water running off of the streets isn't running directly into the storm sewer system and then directly into a creek or river. It's going into a treatment drain that is capturing and reducing some of the pollutants that would otherwise get to the river. So those kinds of things are newer efforts, probably in the last 30 or 40 years, that you're not going to find in some of the core areas of town. But as more things develop, you'll see them more and more.
And can you just comment real quickly before we wrap it up? That is, we are in the process of installing new water mains in areas where you have issues, and also we have a very few number of houses that have lead service entrances. Maybe comment on what's going on with that.
Yeah, so if you're familiar with what occurred in Flint, Michigan with the water treatment system there, there was a chemistry change in the water production method, and that resulted in the lead that is in the service lines leaching out into the water and causing the water to become unsafe to drink. Normally, in a slightly depositing treatment system, the sediment that builds up on the outside or on the inside of the pipes protects the users against lead and nasty things leaching into the water. In Flint, Michigan, that wasn't the case. Here in Ames, we're fortunate. We have fewer than about 200 lead service lines that we know of that were built.
The defined service line is not city-owned.
Right, so a service line is the line that goes from the water main into the home.
Which we don't own.
Which is owned by the property, right? So as we perform water main replacements in areas of town with older water mains, particularly smaller water mains, 4-inch water mains, 6-inch water mains, those are very small water mains. They're not good for Chief Higgins for his firefighting. And they also tend to be more sedimented. When we replace those with larger water mains, we replace the lead service lines that exist. Even though they're owned by the homeowner, we, the city utility, will replace them. And so we are slowly eating down the number of lead service lines that are in service in the community and identifying. We do testing for any of the property owners who have a lead service line. We can do testing. We'll go to their home and ensure that the lead isn't coming back out into the water. And so far, we've been fortunate. We haven't had any issues.
Now, and I can't tell the frequency, but just in closing, the water is tested, I believe, every day, sampled around the city. We have a professionally accredited testing lab that's going through, and it has passed extremely high standards. You want to just...
Yeah, we perform, both at the water treatment plant and the wastewater plant, we perform hundreds of tests on a daily basis for a variety of different parameters to ensure that the water in the water plant is meeting our standards, and the water leaving the wastewater plant is meeting our standards.
And around the community that is being in different houses and also businesses, right?
Yep. In addition, we will periodically sample water from businesses around the community to ensure that the water in the distribution system is free from contamination and maintaining the appropriate levels of chlorine and the residual chemicals that it needs to maintain. So we rigorously test the water. Our wastewater plant has the second longest compliance streak in the nation for meeting all of its numerical limits, meeting or exceeding all of its numerical limits in its permit. So there's only one other plant that has a longer streak of compliance, and ours was built in 1989, and ever since day one has met all of those requirements. So we take the compliance really seriously.
Co-Director O'Driscoll.
So out of curiosity, there's the situation at Brookside, a lot of restoration and all of that fun stuff, but there were many old historic trees that were removed. And I mean, coming from a sustainability standpoint, I've heard a lot of disappointment and a lot of concern about the implications that this will have. Are there any plans to make historic tree preservation more of a priority after this reaction? And are there any plans for other areas in Ames that require getting rid of any of the historical trees there?
Rama?
Yeah, I think with the Brookside project, so it certainly does look like a stark difference there. We definitely were thoughtful about that. The planning procedure for that project took a long time because we wanted to think through it and make sure that citizens had opportunities for input. So the surveying of the plant life that had been done there, I mean, I will admit there are some old trees that were there, but a lot of that creek line was scrubby, kind of invasive things too, actually. So a surprising amount of it was invasive things that are maybe less desirable. So what will be planted there instead will be native species and things with better root structures, and also, things that that do well in that environment. So we will replant it. But and again, there were some old trees, but I think for the most part, it just looks visually very stark. But I don't know that there was a lot of old growth in that area. But they were very thoughtful about that. We have a city forester who advises us about tree health and tree policies. And so, but I don't know, we don't have a policy that protects a certain age of tree. So that is a good question.
Thank you. Yep.
So we do have a, not for all of our trees, but for street trees, we do have a policy that requires that so long as the tree doesn't need to immediately come down because it's a danger to somebody's safety, before the tree is going to come down, we will post it. We will put a posting on it with an indication that it's intended to come down. And there is an opportunity for people to either contact the city forester and understand more about why that tree needs to come down, or object to the tree's removal and have a discussion about it before that might occur. So that occurs for street trees. People feel very sensitive about those when they're sort of in their front yard almost. They're in public right of way, but they're right in front of their property. So we are sensitive that a lot of the trees, in almost every instance where we have to take trees out, it's because there's something integral to the tree that is failing, and we've evaluated it pretty thoroughly.
Thank you. We'll now move into closing comments, starting with ex officio Boland.
Hi, everyone. Whoa. Hi, everybody. I just want to thank the City Council and City staff for taking the time out of their week to come talk with us tonight. I'm always really excited for these meetings. I feel like I learn a lot from all of the senators about just the topics you guys are passionate about, so I can best represent you over at our City Council meetings. And I'm also really grateful that this is my third semester getting to do this. If you have a topic that you weren't able to bring up, we had some time constraints, or if you want to have continued conversations, I'd love to hear from you after the meeting so we can just have a chit chat and keep those conversations going in the future. And I think that city staff and city council would also really be interested in that as well. Thank you all tonight, and then if you guys could just stick around for a picture after, please.
Thanks, Emily, and I would just echo what she just said. And Emily participates in city council meetings. She brings a student perspective. But I will say, too, is that there's something that Emily feels really needs to be brought to council. She can bring that up under council comments. And then if council wants to, they can put it on a future council meeting. So Emily is really your pipeline, although we certainly welcome if you want to email. You can get on the website. You can email either each of us individually, or there is one that goes to all council members as well as the mayor. And we endeavor to respond to those emails. And certainly, for me, my cell phone is on the website also. So if you want to, if you call, I will assure you it probably goes to voicemail, because my best friend, Spam Risk, is always trying to call me, and I don't usually answer phone calls that I don't recognize the phone number. But if you leave a voicemail, I'd be happy to call back and communicate with you. But Emily's doing a great job. Please communicate with her, and she'll bring things to council as appropriate. So again, thank you for the conversation. I did take some notes. We're going to see what we can do in following up on some of these. And I had an idea. If we could bring canes to downtown, that would kill two birds with one stone, wouldn't it?
Everyone will
Or-
come to downtown.
Or the
and-
fire station, maybe both.
Anyway, so, thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Second. Are there any objections? Or we'll see some of you back here in about 15 minutes. We will be beginning our meeting in 1 minute.
How fun.
It's gonna take like 3 days for this room to heat up.
I call this meeting of the Iowa State University Student Government to order, Senate to order at 7:22 p.m. We will start with roll call. Ianu Dimhoff? Here. Gertis? Here. Jones? Here. Utica? Here. Miller? Here. Kekun? Here. Dahmen? Here. Corsi? Here. Snyder? Bailey? Here. Hartley? Here. Margaret? Here. Nandal? Here. Persley? Here. Neal? Here. Kuzi? Olson?
Here.
Saini? Graybill? Bernal? Valenzuela? Lima Barbosa? Einwalter? All right, we'll now move into the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Seeing no program, we will now move into open forum. Open forum is an opportunity to discuss issues relevant to the student body. If you're here for open forum, I invite you to the lectern at this time.
Hi, Senators. Y'all know me. This is just a quick PSA about some of the efforts we have going for PR. One of our initiatives is...
I don't think do you want to come grab my mic or something? I don't think it's working.
Hello, y'all know me. Hello, Senators. One of the initiatives that we have going in the PR committee right now is Senator Spotlights. Our SDOC will be reposting, I can move over, probably be easier. Our SDOC will be reposting the link to the form that we would love you all to fill out so we can get, some of the initiatives and you guys highlighted on our Instagram page. We really think that doing the community and personnel outreach and focus on you all and the programs and projects that you all are working on right now is a great asset for both you and for this organization to, really humanize us. So if you guys could fill out that link when you get a chance, it's only 5 questions tops. So please take the time and fill that out when you have a moment. Thank you.
Is anyone else here for open forum? Seeing no one else, we will now move into adopting the agenda. Is there a motion to do so? It's been moved. Is there a second? Are there any objections? Thank you. We will now move into the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to do so? It's been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? We'll now move to committee reports, starting with rules.
We did not have rules last week due to the Constitutional Convention, but the event went really well. We got some changes for our Constitution that rules will be looking at next week. Rules will meet tomorrow on Thursday, and we will see 2 new potential senators, one for Cal's and one for Freddie Court, and then also have discussions on bills relevant to the body.
Finance.
All right, hi everyone. So Finance met last night. It was also a very short 30-minute meeting, which was rudely interrupted by a 6 p.m. fire alarm in the Memorial Union. I'm gonna give a quick budget report, just of the budgets that we've been spending out of. So some of this is unspent, just because we might have had a purchase order for something and still pending, things like that. But out of green initiatives, so far we spent about $400, mostly out of water fountains. Out of executive initiatives, we spent $172. Legislative relations, so far we spent about $7,500. The events account, you guys saw a funding bill for this, I think 2 weeks ago. We spent about $2,900. Special projects, we've already spent over $230,000 from, which I think is pretty good, cutting into the reserves, operating. Most of this is just because of the semesterly scholarships, but we've already spent about $59,000 out of. Senate discretionary, and this changes on a semesterly basis, but I do encourage senators to look out for this, because we've already spent over $21,000 of this account, and this account has $30,000 per semester, so just keep that in mind for some of the funding bills. And annual allocations, when you include the shortfalls, we've spent a little under $1.5 million in that, and then just through our contract so far, we've spent about $470,000. So if you have any questions about that, please let me know.
Speaker Pursley.
Yep.
Can you send those numbers of how much we've spent and how much is in the account on Teams on the chat so
Yes,
everyone
I
can
can.
see?
Yes.
Thank you.
PR.
Hey everyone. So tonight you'll see one person up to get sat on the PR committee. Additionally, we have a couple other things going on. First, our campaign for the SAFE Act has started. So that's the shuttle naming contest that the PR committee is in charge of. You'll see some different print materials around campus, some different mass emails, and social media content. So make sure when you see that stuff, you're reposting and engaging. Additionally, if I have talked to you about headshots and we still have not gotten your headshot, please, please, please reach out to me directly, because as we've seen this past week, it's starting to get cold, the leaves are changing. I want to get these done as soon as possible, so that way everyone's headshots on the directory can be updated. And then all current headshots are currently in the General Teams channel under the Photos folder, under the Headshots folder. So if you would like your headshot, go ahead and grab it from there. And then kind of going along on that same wavelength, all of the photos that I have edited will start getting put into that general photos folder. So if you want to use any of those for LinkedIn, make sure you grab a photo from there and you can post it on your personal profiles if you'd like. And then just a general announcement for social media. Please, whenever you see something, make sure you're reposting it. This means reposting the reels, reposting the static posts. If you feel like you want to comment, please leave a comment. It always helps with our engagement. And then, like Jake had previously said, please fill out the Senator Spotlight forms because we want to make sure we're able to highlight you guys, and we can't do that without your input. So have a great night.
Idea?
We're still working on the International Student Handbook, and the last week at the committee meeting, we were brainstorming some projects, and hopefully by this week we'll finalize on one single project. And I'm also thinking of starting to plan the idea town hall in the upcoming week. Yeah, that's about it.
Events?
Okay, so earlier this week, the Cookies and College Senators sign-up form was sent out. For those of you who are college senators, you are already placed as to where it fit into your schedule. Those of you that are not college okay, it cut off on me. But those of you that are not college senators, your constituents are everywhere, so there's no reason why you shouldn't be signing up, even if your college time does not work. Adding on to that, Lainey and I have access to all the times you guys said you were available, so if you do not sign up, we will sign you up.
And then one other thing for that, this will count for outreach credits, but you must sign up ahead of time in order to get those outreach credits. And then additionally, Molly and I are starting to plan the Lunch and Learn series, which will take place in the second semester, likely in February. This will be a series of 4 events, which will feature a free lunch to students, and then it'll also have university and then community leaders as well. So we're gonna drop a form into the general teams chat for all student government members you can leave like suggestions for who you'd like to see for leaders at these events.
Local affairs?
Oh my goodness, sorry. Hi everyone, thank you so much for the participation tonight. You guys all look amazing in your business formal clothes, so I really appreciate that. I'll just say it again, if you have any questions or topics that you weren't able to talk about tonight, please reach out to me and we can set up a time to talk about those and just keep the conversations going. Thank you all for your attention and your enthusiasm tonight. It was a really great meeting and I'm really appreciative. Thank you guys.
Senator Iona Dimhoff.
Can we give Ex Officio Ballin a round of applause for such a successful joint meeting?
And a big shout out to all of the local affairs senators and at-larges. I couldn't have done it without you guys, so thank you.
Sustainability.
Okay, hi guys. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hi guys. So not too much on our front, but we did have a tabling event on Monday for Sustainability Month, the celebration, and it was really fun and epic and cool. And then we also have another event that we're hosting. We're going to be hosting an event at the After Dark, which is super cool. November 7th, you guys should come. It'll be fun. We're making vases out of recycled materials and then making origami flowers and all that fun stuff. If you want to volunteer, by all means, go for it. If you want to just show up, bring your friends. That'd be sick too. And then finally, our Instagram is back up and running. We had our first post today, I think. So you guys should follow it. It's ISU Sustainability, so it's an easy handle to remember. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Health and wellness. Legislative ambassadors.
Hi everybody, happy Wednesday. I'm super excited. I have my first group of individuals to come before you tonight to be sat to the Legislative Ambassadors Committee. I'm really excited about this group and I think we're going to do some great work this year and I'm excited for you all to meet them. So yeah, thank you.
Comments from the judicial branch?
I don't really have much to say other than I believe we're planning to affirm another justice to the Supreme Court, which is very exciting. So thank you for that.
Comments from the advisor?
I don't have a whole lot to report. Same things I was working on last week. If you need anything, feel free to come see me. I know it is heavy into midterms and people have a lot on their plates, so please make sure you are eating and sleeping and maybe like doing one thing a week to take care of yourself.
Comments from the executive branch with President Brandt?
Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. This week on Monday and Tuesday, I was out at the Alumni Center for the day as we were doing our semifinalist round for the President's Search Committee. So we've identified 4 finalists that will come to campus the first week of November. Those finalists will be made public 24 hours before their scheduled visit to campus, and the schedule is still being finalized. But once I have more information about that, I'll be sure to share with you. Other than that, I'm still working on planning Big 12 on the Hill, so stay tuned for more information about that. And then I'd like to yield the rest of my time to Chief of Staff, Hosh.
Okay, wait, it's already on, perfect. So I just wanted to tell you guys that we actually won an award for painting Victory Lane last Sunday, which is amazing. I don't know what the award will be, so we'll have to see. But Homecoming Central will be presenting us. We placed top 3, so we could be second. Maybe we're first. I don't know. Probably not third. But we would love for you guys to join us this Friday at Sci-Fest from 10 to 10:30 p.m. on Central Campus in front of the Campanile. So if you're interested in going to that, I would love if you just shot me a message on Teams or sent me an email, preferably Teams. That way I knew. It looks amazing. That way I know who's going to be there. Yeah, that's it for me.
Vice Speaker Hartley?
Motion to add Senators Snyder and Kuzi to the roll.
There's been a motion to add Senator Snyder and Kuzi to the roll. Is there a second? Second. Are there any objections? I apologize. All right, we will now move into external matters, starting with 2025-2-028F, funding ACI student chapter advertising and outreach with Senator Saini.
I rise as the author of this bill, and the intent of this bill is to fund the ACI student chapter for advertising and other outreach components. If anybody's wondering what's the full form for the chapter, it's American Concrete Institution, and I would urge the representatives of the club to approach the podium and say a few words.
Hi, we're the American Concrete Institute. We're from the Civil Engineering Department, and we just need some money so we can get a P card and obtain members.
It's been called to question. Is there a second? Second. Are there any objections? Closing comments? No closing comments. We will now move into a roll call vote. Iona Dimoff?
Yes.
Gertis? Yes. Jones? Yes. Utica? Yes. Miller? Kikun? Yes. Daman? Yes. Corshi? Yes. Snyder? Yes. Bailey? Yes. Hartley? Yes. Margaret? Yes. Nandal? Yes. Persley? Yes. Neal? Yes. Kuzi?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Saini? Graybill? Bernal? Yes. Valenzuela? Yes. Lima Barbosa? Einwalter? With a vote of 23 to 0 to 0, the bill passes. Congratulations. We'll now move to 2025-2-030F, funding the collegiate cattlemen with Senator Jones.
Hi, friends. So this bill is for the collegiate cattlemen. They are going to Kentucky, and if there is a representative, can you go ahead and go to the podium to tell us about your bill?
Yeah, so I'm with the Collegiate Cattlemen, and we're taking about 30 members to Kentucky, and the purpose of this trip is to go down there and get them involved in the beef industry and connected with members and growers within the industry so that they can gain a little bit of knowledge and some networking while we're down there. And so, yeah, we're just asking for some help with the travel expense. Questions?
Speaker Pursley.
So I'm curious why the second whereas clause, or the first whereas clause says somewhere in the U.S. if we know it's in Kentucky. Would that be friendly to change somewhere in the U.S. to Kentucky? Oh, wow, that's in all caps. Thank you.
Senator Utica.
I'm kind of curious. Can you explain the line item? Like I'm seeing Maxi Van to Kentucky, the other one also Maxi Van to Kentucky. Can you explain that? Probably the finance director.
Yeah, I can explain that. So the two line items is for there and back. So line item 1, which is $411.26 is there, and then back we just have 2 separate line items.
Okay, thank you.
Call the question. Second.
It's been called to question and seconded. Are there any objections? Closing comments?
It passed. It was sent favorably to Senate, so vote yes, please.
Thank you. We'll now move forward with a roll call vote. Iona Dimhoff?
Yes.
Gertis? Yes. Jones? Yes. Utica?
Yes.
Miller? Yes. Kikun?
Yes.
Daman? Yes. Korshi? Yes. Snyder? Yes. Bailey? Yes. Hartley? Yes. Margaret? Yes. Nundall? Yes. Pursley? Yes. Neal?
Yes.
Kuzi?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Saney? Graybill? Bernal?
Yes.
Valenzuela?
Yes.
Lima Barbosa? Einwalter? The vote of 23 to 0 to 0. The bill passes. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
We'll now move to 2025-2-031F, funding for Archery Club at Iowa State University with Senator Lima Barbosa.
So the archery club was asking for funding for competition in Vegas. They seem very exciting about it, and this is not working properly. And I invite them to the podium right now to speak on it.
Hello, my name is Ryan Martin, and I'm here today on behalf of the Archery Club to ask for funding, or to finalize our funding request regarding assistance for the Vegas Archery Club trip. And the Vegas shoot, which it is named, is the largest archery competition by volume in the world. In previous years, and we're expecting this year, about 4,500 archers to attend, and that includes Olympians, world champions. And this is mostly a very fun trip for those of us who are relatively competitive to go out and have fun at what is a world stage. So I'm open to any questions if you have any.
Speaker Pursley.
This is a question for our finance director. I know you mentioned we're close to reaching the end of our budget. Can you let us know beforehand when we're about to reach our budget constraints?
Yeah, when you guys are like under 5,000, I'll let you know. You're not there yet, but
okay. Thank you so much.
Senator Utica.
My question is, how many people?
I don't believe your mic is on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So my question is, how many people is going from the club?
3 currently.
3. Okay.
Been called to question. It's been seconded. Are there any objections? Closing comments? No closing comments. I will now move forward with a roll call vote. Iona Dimhoff?
Yes.
Curtis? Yes. Jones? Dahman? Yes. Corshi? Yes. Snyder? Yes. Bailey? Yes. Hartley? Yes. Margaret? Yes. Nundahl? Yes. Pursley? Yes. Neal? Yes. Kuzi? Yes. Olson? Yes. Saney? Graybill? Yes. Bernal? Yes. Valenzuela? Yes. Lima Barbosa? Yes. Einwalter? The vote of 23 to 0 to 0, the bill passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll now move to 2025-2-032F, funding the Disc Golf Club with Senator Saney.
The intent of this bill is to fund the Disc Golf Club for their memberships to support their team growth and participation in upcoming competitive events. And I would urge the representatives for the clubs to approach the podium and say a few words.
Hello, my name is Nate Windrum. I'm here on behalf of the Disc Golf Club. We initially budgeted for our competitive team to be around 15 people, but it doubled, and interest doubled this year, so we have around 30 members, and we're just trying to budget for our competitive team to be able to have everyone be able to compete in the competitions.
Second.
It's been called to question and seconded. Are there any objections? Closing comments? No closing comments. We'll now move forward with a roll call vote. Iona Dimhoff?
Yes.
Curtis? Yes. Jones? Yes. Utica?
Yes.
Miller? Yes. Kikun?
Yes.
Dahman? Yes. Corshi? Yes. Snyder? Yes. Bailey? Yes. Hartley? Yes. Margaret? Yes. Nundahl? Yes. Pursley? Yes. Neal? Yes. Kuzi? Yes. Olson? Yes. Saney? Yes. Graybill? Yes. Bernal? Yes. Valenzuela? Yes. Lima Barbosa? Yes. Einwalter? Yes. With a vote of 23 to 0 to 0, the bill passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We will now move to 2025-2-033F, funding the African Students Association with Senator Saney.
The intent of this bill is to fund the African Students Association for renting turfs at Lead Recreation Center on one of the events that they host every year, and I would encourage the representatives to approach the podium and say a few words about it.
Hello, my name is Tarminta. I'm the president of the African Students Association, and the soccer tournament is one of our annual events. We were actually getting ready to start planning for it, and we needed to book lead, but we discovered that they're now charging to book the space, so that was a little dent in our plans, and that's what we're requesting funding for.
Senator Jones?
So this was sent favorably in Senate, but it was a great opportunity to say it now. Student government can participate in
you guys,
a soccer team. So just saying, guys. Anyways.
Got a few more here. Senator Snyder?
Can we just get a rough idea about attendance numbers that are attending
Yes.
this event, or maybe
Okay.
prior? Yeah.
So for the teams, we have about 8 teams, and we ask that there be minimum of 7 people per teams, and we cap it at 8 teams. So that's about 56 people just playing alone. And then apart from that, we have board members attend, and then we usually have also like spectators attend. So if we were to kind of like give a rough number, it'd be about minimum like 100. About like I can't speak because sometimes it depends the weather if the spectators want to come or not. But yeah, we have a decent amount of people show up.
Senator Iona Dimhoff.
So then for this event, you plan on using like all the turf, not just like they went like to thirds sometimes. Like this rental's for the entire turf.
Yeah,
correct?
it would be for the entire things because we need to have 2 games going at a time. If not, it would take like 3 days to get everybody in.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Call the question.
It's been called a question and seconded. Are there any objections? Closing comments? No closing comments. We'll now move forward with a roll call vote. Iona Dimhoff?
Yes.
Gertis? Jones? Utica?
Yes.
Miller? Cocoon?
Yes.
Dahmen? Corshi? Snyder? Bailey? Hartley? Margaret? Nandal? Persley? Neal? Kuzi? Olson? Saney? Graybill? Bernal? Valenzuela? Lima Barbosa? Einwalter? With a vote of 23-0, the bill passes. Congratulations.
Thank you guys. Have a good night. And please sign up. Let me know and I'll send you guys the email. All right.
We'll now move to 2025-2-034F. Student government participates in homecoming! With Senator Jones.
Like I said, the exclamation mark is necessary. So this bill was passed, or I was sent favorably in Finance Committee. And I do have to amend something, but it's open for discussion.
Would you like to make your amendment now?
So instead of gift cards, we are going to change it to 3 $25 prizes because gift cards are a lot of hassle to do with like paperwork and all that stuff. So I'm going to motion to amend line items.
There's been a motion to change gift cards to 3 $25 prizes and reflect that, and I guess the specific line items. Speaker Persley, do you have a comment on that?
Do we know what the prizes will be?
To be determined.
Senator Kuzi?
I don't know if you're aware, Kahoot, there's a cost to it. Is someone paying for the Kahoot, or does that already paid for somewhere? A bronze plan is $36 annually. A silver plan is $84 annually. A gold plan is $144, and then Kahoot Plus is $228, and I think that allows up to 800 participants. So they have structure based on Kahooters.
I think it should be free, if I'm right. Yeah, it should be free.
As a point of information, there's like a free version as well, like your standard Kahoot. If that answers your question. The add-ons, again, as a point of information, get you things like AI-powered Kahoot generation, so on and so forth. So you can still make a Kahoot for free.
The free version is for 5 players only.
Beat me to my question. Yeah, so in those plans, the bronze on Kahoot.com, player limit 50 for bronze, 100 for silver, again, that's $84, 200 is $144, and then a limit of 800, like I said, is $228. So if we don't have that, if we want to talk about that or amend that to an online game or something like that, I think that could be good, unless that's figured out somewhere.
Yeah, we can amend it to online game. Yeah, we can amend that. So
there's been a motion to change Kahoot to online game.
Second.
It's been seconded. Are there any objections? Let's get back to that original motion, which was to change gift cards to 3 $25 prizes. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any objections? All right, so we're back on the bill as a whole. Senator Margaret.
Yeah, just a real quick thing to add on. Obviously, I think homecoming is an unmatched tradition, and I'm really glad that we were able to find a way to participate. I think this is really great. My only quick question for either Senator Jones as the author or FD Kammeier is whether conversations were had in Finance Committee about taking this amount, previously $30, now $75, from a discretionary account of some kind, PR committee, events committee, anything like that. Just looking to confirm that this warrants an act of the Senate.
So, funny story, before we got to this bill, there was a fire alarm pulled in the Memorial Union. So that's why those changes weren't made last night. I mean, yeah, we could take it from something like operating, but I mean, the bill was already on first read and we're seeing it now. It's really not that much of a hassle to just have it come out of Senate discretionary.
That's fair, and obviously I fully support this bill. I just wanted to ask you, as a precedent, if you think $75 is the threshold for a Senate bill.
I mean, we did have a bill last year that was just for $26, so it's not like we've had lower amounts in the past, if that makes sense.
It's been called to question. Is there a second? Are there any objections? Closing comments?
Yes, okay, so we talked about participating in homecoming as a whole. This is a great way for you all to get involved. Reach out to your constituents to get them involved because, we talked about it, and so time is for action, okay?
All right, we'll now move forward with a roll call vote. Iona Dimhoff.
Yes.
Gertis. Yes. Jones. Utica.
Yes.
Miller. Kekun.
Yes.
Dahman.
Yes.
Corshi. Snyder. Bailey. Hartley. Margaret. Nandal. Persley. Neal. Kuzi. Olson. Saney. Graybill. Bernal. Valenzuela. Lima Barbosa. Einwalter. A vote of 23 to 0 to 0, the bill passes. Congratulations. Seeing no internal matters, we will now move to special orders, starting with 2025-2-042SG, seating at large to the Public Relations PR Committee with Vice Speaker Hartley.
All right, so I have a friendly for myself to correct the spelling of this person's name, and then I'll have them come up and share a little bit about why they would like to be on the committee.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Aditya Singh Lavana, but you can call me Addie. I am originally from Hoover, Alabama, and I'm a first-year software engineering major here at Iowa State. And I'm just excited to get involved with student government. I've always been in leadership positions in all my clubs and groups in high school, and I always see myself contributing to whatever I take part in. So that's why I was interested in taking a part in student government. And I'm open to any questions.
Senator Bernal.
Do you have any projects you are possibly planning on working on this committee?
Right now, I'm open to anything, but recently I did do a little research on y'all's AI project. So, I mean, I know that's like in motion right now. So, something innovative like that, I would try to take part in. Yeah.
Senator Snyder.
If you were a social media platform, which one would you be?
I'd say I'd be TikTok because because I'm dependable, you can always go to me,
Call the question.
It's been called to question and seconded. Are there any objections? Closing comments? A placard vote has been called for. All those in favor? Those opposed? The vote of 23 to 0 to 0, the bill passes. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, everyone.
We'll now move to 2025-2-043 seating at large to the Legislative Ambassadors Committee with Senator Bernal.
Okay, thank you. We will be seating in this bill 3 members to the Legislative Ambassadors Committee. Will Evinger Wiley, Ella Jasinski, and Henry Rose please come up and give your reasons why you want to be on the Legislative Ambassadors Committee.
Good evening, everyone. I am a junior here. I'm a double major in agricultural studies and agricultural and rural policy. I hold a few VP positions for some clubs I'm a part of, the Iowa and National PAS organization, as long as a peer mentorship for the Iowa Corn Collegiate Advisory Team. I do want to pursue a career in the political realm, whether that be in lobbying or government relations, so this gives me the ability to not only work with my constituents that have the same views as me and some that don't, but also get more into the legislative process.
My name is Ella Jasinski. I'm a sophomore here. My major is healthcare management, but I'm pre-law. I hope to do government relations for a hospital someday. So I wanted to join this committee to get more involved with the law side of things and just to meet more people and get more involved in the political process.
Okay, so I am not Evinger, but Evinger had a last-minute conflict, so she sent me a message to read on her behalf. So I'm going to read it from her point of view because that's how she sent it. My name is Evinger Wiley. I'm currently a sophomore double majoring in agricultural and rural policy and political science. I grew up on my family's 4th-generation crop farm in central Illinois, which sparked my interest for advocacy. I've seen the firsthand of legislation on communities and agriculture. Being a part of this program will allow me to advocate for students, as well as gain valuable experiences in policymaking and political advocacy. My experience on the committee last year makes me excited to continue our work and will make me a valuable asset. And everyone, any questions?
Oh, Senator Bernal.
Okay, this is a question for the 2 here. So, I mean, of course, you're going to be going to the state capitol and be advocating for all, 31,000 students here at Iowa State. How will you be able to stay nonpartisan in the face of interacting with both sides of the aisle?
Well, I know some of the topics that we're focused on this year, one of them is mental health, and I feel like that's something that affects everybody. So just being able to look at both sides, but also we're representing individual students, so taking into consideration everything and being able to put their well-being at the forefront of what we're talking about.
I agree with what she just said. I mean, we are all grown-ups. We can all handle our own opinions and kind of be mature about things. I think when you put the well-being of all students ahead of your own, that creates a better environment for everybody.
Senator Neal.
Motion to remove Senator Utica from the roll.
There's been a motion to remove Senator Utica from the roll. It's been seconded. Are there any objections? Senator Kuzi.
Sorry, motion to remove Senator Snyder from the roll as well.
Let's vote on the first one first. Are there any objections? All right, there's now been a motion to remove Senator Snyder from the roll. It's been seconded. Are there any objections? Thank you. It's been called to question and seconded. Are there any objections? Closing comments? Placard vote has been called for. All those in favor? Thank you. Those opposed? With a vote of 20 to 0 to 0, the bill passes. Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone.
We'll now move to 2025-2-045 SG. Oh, sorry, 2025-2-044 SG, seating at large to legislative ambassadors with Senator Valenzuela.
Yeah, so Emily Meyer, the Director of Governmental Affairs, has chosen some nominees to fill some spots in the legislative ambassadors. Addison Williamson, Brooke Piakema, and Charlie Fisher, if they would rise to the podium.
Hi, my name is Addison Williamson. I'm a junior in Ag Communication, and I think that student voices are powerful, and I'm excited to represent them and get more involved in the legislative side of things.
My name is Charlie Fisher. I'm a double major in microbiology and genetics. I was in a bunch of leadership positions in high school, and I'm really passionate about mental health and college affordability. So when I saw the legislative ambassadors' goals for this year, I was really excited to try to get involved with those two things that I have so much passion about.
Again, I'm not Brooke, but she had a last-minute family emergency actually come up, so I will be reading on her behalf as well. My name is Brooke Piakema. I am a sophomore in Agriculture and Rural Policy Studies. I would love the opportunity to be a part of the Legislative Ambassadors Committee because I am passionate about advocating for student needs on and off campus. I also love the goals that the committee has already set and think that they will be a great asset to the university and students on campus. I also served on the committee last year and gained a lot of experience and understand the importance of this committee. Thank you.
Speaker Pursley.
This is a question for Emily. Is it Brooke or is it Brookie? Can we get a friendly to change Brooke's name on the bill to take out the I?
Senator Kuzi.
Emily, maybe you could clarify this. I'm just having a little confusion with some of the titles. 43 SG, Student at Large to Legislative Ambassadors Committee, and then the following one, 44 SG, Student at Large to Legislative Ambassadors, and then the following 45, Student Senator to Legislative Ambassadors Committee, and then the following 46 SG, Student Senator to the Legislative Ambassadors Committee, and then the following 47 SG, Student at Large to Legislative Ambassadors. Is there a difference that I'm missing between Legislative Ambassadors and Legislative Ambassadors Committee? I know that was referenced in the speech you just read too.
That's actually a question for me. When I wrote the agenda, I just forgot to put committee at the end of some of those. It's not a difference at all. It's just a mistake.
Okay, and then I think maybe in a couple of the bills that might need revised too, kind of as a friendly. I don't know where I saw that, but I think checking over it could be good.
Thank you. I think it means the same thing anyway, so.
Yeah, just for clarity's sake.
Senator Bernal.
I'm going to ask the same question to you two again as I asked the previous two. How will you stay nonpartisan and in spite of your beliefs and what you may believe in to represent all students here at Iowa State?
I think it's important that we are representing a whole group of people and not putting my personal beliefs aside and everyone else's personal beliefs aside to focus on what we're there to do, and that's represent Iowa State students.
I'll just speak on this a little as well. I think this kind of goes along with one of the questions that we were asked in our interview, which was, do we believe that all student groups deserve the same level of recognition at this governmental level? And I said that I think all the students deserve a place despite whatever political disagreements we have, and I think that is something that can be applied to most areas of what we're doing here. So, yeah.
It's been called the question and seconded. Closing comments? Seeing none, we'll now move forward with a placard vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Those opposed? With a vote of 21 to 0, the bill passes. Congratulations. We'll now move to 2025-2-045 SG, seating Senator to Legislative Ambassadors Committee with Senator Bailey.
Yeah, so I invite Bain and Burnell to go up to the podium and explain why they want to join the Legislative Ambassadors Committee.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bain Bernal. Of course, I'm a senator here representing all the dorms on campus, and I'm currently double majoring in agricultural business and ag-rural policy. I know we had a lot of those here today, but it's great. So I've had some experience dealing with policy before. At my local school, I was something called a CT Ambassador, Career Technical Education was the full title. And what I did was I advocated for my school's various career technical education with local policymakers, across our district, our superintendent, various other staffers, and even a few staffers from our state house member and our state senate member. I'm here today because I really want to work on the projects that the Legislative Ambassadors Committee is currently working on right now. The Workforce Development Grant is my primary interest right now because as of now they're trying to expand it to include out-of-state students, and I believe I'm able to provide a unique perspective as an out-of-state student to hopefully convince the Iowa legislature to amend this and hopefully include students like me in the Workforce Development Grant. Are there any questions?
Speaker Pursley.
Okay, I'm going to ask your question back to you. How will you separate your personal beliefs from your responsibility to represent students as a legislative
It's
ambassador?
probably going to kind of sound stale with everybody else saying it too, but of course, yeah, there's 31,000 people here. There's a wide range of political beliefs that would 100% outmatch my own. I mean, I think it's important that what we're doing has really no political affiliation to it, like the Workforce Development Grant. We're just trying to benefit all of Iowa by being able to include out-of-state students. It's something that, I mean, we all have to work on, and it's going to benefit everybody, no matter what their political beliefs are.
Call the question.
It's been called to question and seconded. Are there any objections? Closing comments?
Placard vote?
Placard vote has been called for. All those in favor? Thank you. Those opposed? With a vote of 20 to 0, the bill passes. Congratulations. We'll now move to 2025-2-046 SG, seating Senator to Legislative Ambassadors Committee with Senator Bailey.
Yeah, I invite Amaya Graybill up to the podium to explain why they want to join the Legislative Ambassadors Committee.
Hi, well, I'm also a Residence Hall Senator. I'm a freshman here. I've kind of like said this before, a little introduction, but I'm studying psychology and political science. I wanted to be a part of Legislative Ambassadors because I'm passionate about social justice and creating change, and I'm also passionate about mental health, and that's been really close to my home and my family, so just making sure all students here have access to the resources they need is something really important to me. So I'm excited to be a part of this.
Senator Bernal.
You probably already know the question, but how are you going to be nonpartisan in midst of your beliefs and all that?
Yeah, I talked about this in my interview with Emily, and while it's important to be passionate, and that's why we're all here, kind of as you guys said, we're representing the entire student body, so I think for me, it's like I'm not a politician here, you know? I'm here to be a voice. So I think that's how I'm able to. Just, that's not what I'm here for at this time, yeah.
It's been called to question and seconded. Are there any objections? Closing comments?
Placard vote?
Placard vote has been called for. All those in favor? Thank you. Those opposed? With a vote of 20 to 0, the bill passes. Congratulations. We'll now move to 2025-2-047 SG, seating at large to Legislative Ambassadors Committee with Senator Nandal.
Okay, so we're going to see Wyatt Anderson be seated as a legislative ambassador. And I ask you to approach the podium and tell us why he's interested in joining the legislative ambassadors.
All right, good evening, everybody. My name's Wyatt Anderson. I'm a sophomore studying agricultural and rural policy studies with a co-major in international agriculture. And I think there's a lot of value in advocating for students at the state level within our legislature and, advocating on behalf of what they're interested in, what their interests are and what their needs are, and getting those points across so that we can continue to see funding flow into our state level institutions like Iowa State.
Senator Bernal.
It's me again. Same question as before, how you stay nonpartisan in the midst of your beliefs.
So I think the best way to stay nonpartisan is to expose yourself to as many beliefs as possible. I've done a lot of that in my personal experience, highlighting kind of my summer internship. I come from Iowa. I've seen a lot of conservative perspectives, so I forced myself to travel to Illinois to be exposed to the very exact opposite and understand how we can continue to communicate our ideas and bridge those gaps and focus on understanding each other. That's the best way to stay nonpartisan, is to just focus on understanding everybody around us.
Senator Margaret.
Well, thank you very much for being here. Just a real quick question. I think this nominee is great, and I'll be voting for you here in a second. More of a question, just real quick, for our Director of Governmental Affairs. So this is our 9th nominee tonight. I believe, if memory serves, 6 of them will have been specifically from the Agriculture and Rural Policy Program. Can you maybe just speak to outreach being done in other student populations to try and diversify the group that we're sending to Des Moines?
Yeah, so I actually want to start by saying that Iowa State is the only school in the country with an ag and rural policy major. So that means that these students that are interested in policy are attracted to our major and our college. They're interested in policy, meaning that legislative ambassadors really aligns with a lot of their interests and their goals. So shouldn't be surprising to us that we get a lot of interest from our major specifically. I think that's important to point out. I did reach out to the political science committee, the pre-law committee, and some of the people you've heard from actually gained interest from those messages. I asked all of you to reach out into your networks to help me put together a diverse group of students. These people applied, were highly qualified and motivated, and I don't believe that it would be right to reject them simply because there's lots of ag and rural policy students on the committee. I'm still conducting interviews with many non-ag policy students. These were the people that were available to speak with you tonight, and I'm really excited to have the opportunity to work with them on behalf of all Iowa State students, and made it very clear in this process that we are representing the entire Iowa State student body and not just the ag college. So, yeah.
Perfect. Well, I really appreciate that information. And, just to say out loud, too, I think all the nominees we've had tonight are great. I'm not suggesting we don't approve any of them. So I'll be voting yes again, and I hope you all will join me.
Senator Corsi.
Okay, so I think almost all of the nominees have been talking about representing the student body. So I think what I want you to speak on for a little bit is what has been the current outreach strategies that the committee has used to reach out to students to get people's consents, and what are you thinking or planning to improve? Is there any strategy now that you would like to improve upon to get a better representation of student consent, so that you be a better representative at the state or whatever legislative level or engagements that you are here to represent students for?
Yeah, so I can speak a little bit to that, but of course I know our director, Emily, can speak a lot to it, but I was on this committee actually last year, and I know our outreach efforts. I don't know what Director Brandt did at that time. I'm not 100% sure, but I know this year, I know as a legislative ambassador from last year, I got the opportunity to participate in the Student Government Expo, and I got to really hear some opinions from students on what they want us to advocate for them on, but also kind of advise them and share with them what we're doing on their behalf. So I think going forward, continuing to participate in those events is vital, but also working with the PR committee to do outreach and gain insights from our student body, but then again, also increasing it so we can share with them through the PR committee what we're doing on their behalf. I know maybe hopefully that answers your question, but of course I forward any additional questions kind of around that topic to Director Meyer.
Yep, thank you.
It's been called to question and seconded. Are there any objections? Closing comments?
Placard vote.
Placard vote has been called for. All those in favor? Thank you. Those opposed? With a vote of 20 to 1 to 0, the bill passes. Congratulations.
All right. Thank you all. Look forward to representing the students of Iowa State.
We'll now move to 2025-2-010SC, confirming nominee to the Supreme Court with Senator Nundahl.
Okay, so we're going to see Wyatt again to be seated as a justice on the Supreme Court. So he can go ahead and tell you more about himself.
So I don't feel like I probably need to repeat what my major and my class standing is, but kind of looking at my own experiences, I kind of see participating in the Supreme Court as a way to ensure checks and balances within student government. I find the work that you all do here extremely, I can't think of the word, but it's extremely impactful, and I think that enhancing the student experience here at Iowa State is something that we all look forward to each and every day. And through Supreme Court, I hope to, help you in that mission.
Senator Margaret? Oh, Speaker Pursley first.
Didn't realize, yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to get ahead of any questions about Wyatt being on both legislative ambassadors and Supreme Court. We've gone through the bylaws, and it's very obvious that the Legislative Ambassadors Committee has a little bit less restrictions on it because we are all representatives of student government, so we're all viable to be legislative ambassadors, and that's why there's no restriction limits on the Legislative Ambassador Committee and how many people can join. So that's why we thought it was appropriate that a Supreme Court member could also be a legislative ambassador.
Senator Margaret.
Well, thanks again, Wyatt, for being here twice in a row. We really appreciate it. Normally, I ask two questions of nominees for the judicial branch. Firstly, just about interest in law, policy, that sort of thing. I think you've largely covered that. But the only thing I would ask you is if you've had a chance to look at our Constitution, our bylaws, any of our governing documents, and if you have any thoughts about things that might be improved or that would be worth a review.
Yeah. So I do have a pre-law marker on my account here at Iowa State, so I do look at going to probably law school post-graduation. But in addition, when you talk about the Constitution, I did attend your Constitutional Convention last week, and I thought something that you kind of highlighted in that meeting was kind of insightful that you mentioned that we're talking about the judicial branch and their section within the Constitution, but yet nobody from the judicial branch was present, which is unfortunate, but we also know that the judicial branch right now needs justices to sit on it. So that's kind of, I think it's unfair to discuss constitutional elements that focus on the Supreme Court, but at the same time, that's not entirely up to me to decide. That's up to you all. I continue to look at the Constitution. That'll be something that if I am placed on the Supreme Court, I will follow through with probably yet tonight and read it through in its entirety. So I hope that answers your questions. I yield back.
Senator Kuzi.
Just a friendly on the spelling. There's two different versions of the spelling of that name, B-R-I-E and B-R-E-I.
It's been called to question and seconded. Are there any objections? Closing comments? Any closing comments, Senator Nodal? No. We'll now move forward with a roll call vote. Placard vote has been called for. All those in favor? Thank you. Those opposed? Thank you. With a vote of 21 to 0, the bill passes. Congratulations.
All right, thank you all again.
Please raise your right hand. I solemnly swear or affirm
I solemnly swear or affirm
to execute the duties of my position
to execute the duties of my position
as prescribed in the Constitution
as prescribed in the Constitution
and the laws of the government
and the laws of the government
for the benefit of all students.
for the benefit of all students.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Seeing no general orders, we will now move to new business, starting with 2025-2-035F, Women's Hockey Club Ice Time Funding with Senator Jones.
Hi, friends. So this bill is on first read, so you can go ahead and ask me yes or no questions.
Seeing no questions, we will now move to 2025-2-036F, Funding for Indian Students Association with Senator Lima Barbosa.
This is for an event, and I can answer yes or no.
Seeing no questions, we will now move to 2025-2-037F, Cookies with College Senators with Senator Jones.
Hi, friends. This is me again. This bill is on first read, so we will see this bill in Finance Committee on next Tuesday. So you can ask me yes or no questions for now.
Okay. I have a question. Do you think each of the colleges, considering their differing populations, will consume the same amount of cookies?
I'm going to defer that to our events.
So we chose to do about 100 and... Oh. Yes.
Ask the question again? Yes, sorry. Do you think that each of the colleges, considering their differing populations, will consume the same amount of cookies?
Yes.
Senator Olson?
I move we waive first read.
There's been a motion to waive first read on this bill. Is there a second?
I'm gonna, hold on, let me find that. I'm gonna yield to Director Kmeyer.
So I believe we need these by Wednesday next week. So this is very time sensitive, which is why we need to waive first read. So please waive first read. Thank you.
So back to the motion to waive first read. Is there a second? Speaker Persley?
Can I ask why we would need these so time sensitive? Can we yield to our co-director events?
Yeah, so Harley, Colby, and Will are all going to Vet Med College next week on Wednesday. That's what worked in their schedule. So to be able to order the cookies, we would need this by tonight.
I'll second it.
It's been seconded. Are there any objections? Senator Nandal?
I just think that since it's been in the planning this long, I don't think that we should have, I cannot speak. But I don't think we should have waited like right now until the last minute to introduce this bill. And I think it sets a bad precedent that we just waive first read anytime there's an emergency. And I don't agree with that.
All right. Do you withdraw your motion?
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. All right. We will now move, unless there's any further questions. All right. We'll now move to 2025-2-038F, funding for late billing for Trend Magazine printing with Senator Nandal. Oh, sure. 2025-2-001A, the Super Act with Speaker Pursley.
Okay, the name is slightly ambiguous, but it was chosen by Santi as his fund bill name, but it's supercharging and upgrading procedures for election regulation, just meaning that we will be updating our bylaws to reflect current procedures, and then we are required by our student government bylaws to have the Election Commission update their code every single year and present it to us. So that is what they will be doing with this bill. If you have any questions about the EC changes, please go to Santi. He has more information than I do.
All right. Seeing no further comments, are there any closing comments for the good of the group? All righty. Well, I wanted to remind everybody of something that I think is important as we move forward. Every single person in here has values and beliefs driven from uniquely human experiences that only they can understand. And so as we engage in difficult discussions, in difficult conversations, I encourage you to remember and give each other grace as we do that, because everyone has uniquely human experiences that define the way in which they think and the way in which they believe. So I encourage you to continue to remember that as we move forward, as we've done in the past.
Look at the Trend Magazine bill.
And 2025-2-038F, funding for late billing for Trend Magazine printing, along with that with Senator Nandal.
I would direct any yes or no questions to FD Kameyer.
Speaker Pursley.
Can I make a friendly on the bill for when it says Senator Nandal for himself? If your pronouns are she, her, switching it to for herself.
All right, seeing no further comments, are there any comments for the good of the group? All right, I look forward to seeing you all next Wednesday. Vice Speaker Hartley.
All right, so I know that we're still kind of getting into this school year, kind of with midterms kind of bumping it up, but when it comes to office hours, if you enjoy me sending you a message, I will gladly do so. Just communicate back with me, or I don't know, look at the message. And I encourage you to fill out the Senator Wellness form that I sent out earlier this week. I really do care about all of you, and I'm willing to help you with Phi Babel. So if you feel so inclined, I encourage you to fill that out, whether anonymously or putting in your contact information. And then also, even just outside of that, if you're wanting to set up a like one-on-one or two-on-one with Josie and I, we are gladly able to set that up with you guys. We care about you, and we know that this is kind of a stressful time.
Speaker Pursley.
Okay, so I have a couple things for senators. If you are not in a committee by now, you should be moving through that process to get on a committee. We are going to be sending out messages soon if you are not on a committee. Second of all, make sure you're going to your constituency council meetings every week, or if they don't meet weekly, when they meet. That is a requirement for you as a senator, and sometimes we have a less engaged constituency council with us because they are upset that senators aren't showing up to their constituency council meetings. And we want to make sure that we have strong relationships with our constituency councils. So make sure you're going to those meetings. If we have open senator spots for those constituencies, reach out to the presidents, help them choose someone new. And then homecoming is this week. Go to the homecoming events on Friday. There's going to be a lot of really awesome stuff. The city council voted to have fireworks at homecoming, and it's going to be really cool, and that will all be on Friday. And then as well, I know I talked about wanting our Senate to be more project-based this year, so there is a project space on the MIS for you to put your projects that you're working on, and I'm hoping everyone can put their projects on that page on the MIS so we can hold each other accountable and see what everyone's working on. But I think that's it from me, and motion to adjourn, and go Cyclones.
Is there a second? Any objections? Thank you.